Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
All right. This is going to be short. It's working right now, but let me explain. Today's episode, as brief as it is brought to you by AT&T. Hang on just one second. I've just got to get one thing ready here. Today's episode is brought to you by AT&T because my internet provider can't seem to get their in order. I'm just kidding. I'm just beeping. I'm not saying the words. So I'm streaming live from the burner phone. All this is brought to you by the burner phone. And I'm having to do it in extremely low resolution. It's not your connection. It's me. Stephen Lee's like, whoa, missed a few days, come back, and Recovery Addict's just letting it rip on the stream. Oh, I'm frustrated, guys. I'm frustrated. We should be watching this Antifreeze trial. We should be keeping an eye on Idaho right now. And here I am calling India to get help with my modem. Now, India is helpful with my modem, but yeah, I've got the tethering gun up. The problem is I do not have unlimited data tethered on my iPhone. So we have some problems. The connection's working. It's actually I'm dual. I'm splitting my connection between the 3 megabits of upload speed I'm getting over my internet, my gigabit connection. I'm supposed to have 1,000 megabits per second, and I'm getting 3. So I'm splitting that between that and my phone. So the phone is actually doing some of the heavy lifting.
There's a lawsuit.
Seriously. Oh, I'm so frustrated. And yes, I'll go ahead and type in chat. I will own it today. But this number adds 60 minutes at least to anything that's on there. It's a short show because I can't keep this connection up, unfortunately. Beep. All right. I never thought I'd beep. Yeah. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'll get out. The case has started. It's going. I don't have enough bandwidth to pull down the feeds at the same time I'm live streaming. That's my problem. So I've on a day that we want to follow day 2, I might be able to follow at home and we can do a catch up stream in the evening, but I just can't live stream. We've got technical support is going to finally come out. They were supposed to come out before. Remember how they canceled? They're going to come out on Saturday. So this problem will most likely continue through tomorrow. They're going to come out and there's my frustrated face. What's most frustrating is I've literally helped build networks and computing systems, multi-million-dollar computer systems for the Department of Defense. I can figure out how to run a home network, and an Optimum, in its wisdom, won't even let me change my own Wi-Fi password. They think it's safer for some reason to leave it permanently printed on the bottom of my modem so that anyone who has access to my house has access to my Wi-Fi network. Did I try blowing on the wires? Just like at the old Nintendo cartridge, right? When you're playing the game, you know it doesn't work. You take it out, you blow on it, you stick it back in. It seems to fix everything. It's time to restock pickles, man. I'm going to need a big pickle run today for sure. Here's what's going on right now. We've got day 2 going on of the Antifreeze murder case. I assume it looks like it started, but I can't watch right now. We're also expecting a very short hearing for BK in Idaho. It's basically a status hearing. We probably won't get a plea out of him today. They'll probably just schedule the preliminary hearing, and that's most likely where he'll plead, not guilty. Stephen Lee's like, I'll stream for you. Here we go. Yeah, it's going to be a couple days maybe. If the connection, because the problem is intermittent, right? It means it's a problem, and I've diagnosed some stuff already on my end and said, look, my equipment, all the stuff I have on my desk, periodically loses just a split second of network connectivity, and then reconnects, and that says there's something wrong with the modem because it happens on both ports that the modem they give me. It's a little technical, but it basically, if it happens on both sides, you look at the thing that has in common, the common link between the two, and it's their modem. So there's a problem there. I see the mouse pad says Steven, check this out. I'm not super impressed with, I added a little live button here in the corner. I'm not super impressed with the orientation of it. It is available if you go to the mug link on eBay and then click on the seller name. It's a seller name I had on eBay about 100 years ago. You'll see that I sell a bunch of other weird stuff on there, some old schooling stuff, some weird little gifts that we bought for China for a business and decided not to use. And I have this, as well as a shirt as well. So it's out there, but this one that I got as a test one is a little bit crooked. And so it triggers my OCD, but I love it. At the same time, I'm going to keep using it. And Stephen Lee, it's your amazing artwork, so thank you so much for that. Yeah, the ISP's modem is hot garbage. It is. I'm taking recommendations right now on replacement ones. Can I tether all the devices to one device instead? I could. I mean, I could live stream 1080p HD through my phone. They just start charging me a whole bunch, and then they throttle my connection after so many gigabits. So we're limited. I'm using the same modem as the FAA. Apparently, we're on the same system, and the virus has spread, so to speak. Deep breaths. Okay. I don't even know who owns the internet. We've given it away so many times this morning, and I've tried to. I'm not sure if you could hear me. I think Miss L. Miss L is, she comes in with a, let's go. Not so excited now that you see the problems that are going on. But here's the thing. I'm not stopping. I'm not going to let the internet stop me. We're going to get this figured out. It might be Monday before everything's all the way better. I'm going to be running tests during the day. If for some reason this intermittent problem fixes itself, I'm going to come back and go live. We're going to stream. But right now I just don't have, I'm running speed tests every 5 seconds to see what's happening. And it's not good on my end. It's been spicy and interesting this morning. Let's jump into the case. Miss L, I hear you. I will try, but I might lose my connection. Give me just a minute here to switch my audio. Come on, go to live. There we go. And on top of that, we had all sorts of issues with Apple deciding to update all my devices this morning, which is, with no internet. That's been great too. Let's see, let's do TMJ4, right? Let's see if we can bring in. Has it already been spicy? Okay. There we go. That one seems to be live right now. Let me see if we can bring this in. Ready?
The other microphone, ma'am.
SCHOOR.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So this is live right now.
Normally people go to the biggest microphone. It's the smallest microphone that we're concerned about here.
The big microphone is us.
Mrs. Shore, do you know Eric Shore?
I do.
And how is it that you know Eric Shore?
He's my son.
So you've known him his whole life.
Absolutely.
Directing your attention back to the school year.
I'm going to unplug my phone because right now the upload speed is sufficient. And I'll only plug it back in if we start buffering.
Southport Elementary.
Okay.
And what grade was he in?
3rd grade.
And who was his teacher?
Mrs. DeFazio.
And who was his best friend in 3rd grade?
David Jensen.
And did you meet David Jensen?
I did.
And did you meet his mother, Julie Jensen?
I did.
Tell us what your recollection, what your memory was of Julie Jensen.
I met her approximately when Eric and David were in kindergarten. She was very kind, smiling, positive.
DW, I'm using AOL dial-up.
And then you continued to know her through 3rd grade?
Yes.
So tell us, did you and...
Oh, I said yes.
Yes, it's important to speak into
If
these
the
little
connection stays up,
microphones here,
we'll do it.
especially
We're streaming in low
because
quality,
the court
unfortunately,
lawyers are back
so your
turned to
picture's
you.
not very clear.
And so she can read my
But-
lips, although she can usually hear me just fine. But so tell us about any arrangement that you and Mrs. Jensen had with respect to your children playing together.
We would exchange homes on Wednesdays.
So tell us what that means.
That would mean that Eric would go to David's after school on Wednesdays, and then the next week, David would come to our house after school.
And then when the children were done playing, like when David would come to your house after school on Wednesday, would somebody pick David up, or would you deliver David back to his parents' house?
Julie would pick him up.
Okay, and when they were playing at her house, you would pick Eric up?
Miss L, congratulations.
So,
Weather Watch just
how
gifted you a
often
membership.
Did you see Julie Jensen
I knew it
between
wouldn't be long
September and
until you
the
were
summer
joining
of
everybody on the front row.
Of 1998.
At least every other week or once a week.
And did you notice any change in her behavior or her demeanor during that period of time?
No.
Now, do you remember hearing about Julie Jensen's death?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk to you about the days preceding Julie Jensen's death.
Okay.
And
This is day 3 of the trial. Day 1 was jury
do you
selection.
know what day it was that Julie Jensen died?
So I
do.
didn't count
What
that
day
one.
was it?
December 3rd,
And what day was it that you heard that Julie Jensen had died?
December 4th.
And was it early in the morning or later in the day that you heard that Julie died?
It was approximately, let's see, probably 9 o'clock in the morning.
By that time, Eric had gone to school already?
Yes.
So, switching gears to December 2nd, do you remember anything unusual that happened on December 2nd, which was a Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the Wednesday
Oh, okay.
preceding December 3rd, December 2nd, can you tell us what happened on December 2nd?
David called our house in the morning before school and asked, and Eric answered the phone and talked to Eric directly and asked if he could come to our house after school instead of Eric going to their house after school, as that was the original plan.
And do you know why David was asking this?
He said his mom was sick.
And did you agree that David could come to your house on
Yes.
December 2nd? And do you recall him coming to your house on December 2nd?
Yes. Yes.
Did you notice anything unusual about David on December 2nd?
No, they played in Eric's
I'm trying to get a
room.
new audio
I
feed.
didn't-
This one is very bad.
And
It's peaking
when
and garbling.
the next
So
day,
makes it sound like he's in a
David
garbage
and
can.
Eric went to school, December 3rd?
Yes.
And now, any time before you heard about the death of Julie Jensen, had you had a conversation with Eric about a conversation that he had with David?
Yes, on December 4th, the morning before school, Eric came to me and said, "Mom, David told me his mom is sick and she's breathing," and he did a deep kind of thing, and his dad won't take him to the hospital.
So you're sure that conversation between you and Eric occurred on the morning of December 4th?
Yes,
And later that, sure, I don't have any further questions.
Hang on, we're going to switch audios here.
within a couple hours.
Give
Ms.
me
Shore,
just
you
a
said
second.
that you saw David on December 2nd,
This is better audio, I think.
on that Wednesday,
Yes,
and that was at your home.
yes,
And David didn't say anything to you about his mom.
no.
In fact, you saw the boys playing.
Is that better?
They played, yeah.
David wasn't crying,
No,
didn't seem to be under any distress.
not that I saw.
What you knew on that Wednesday was that David had contacted your son because his mom was sick. Is that a yes?
Yes,
Thank you. On December 3rd, you didn't have any conversation with your son about anything David Jensen told him.
no,
And then you said on December 4th is when your son had this conversation with you.
in the morning, early morning.
Christy, I don't have my
On
own
December
community
9th,
Discord.
you
We
spoke
use
to Detective Ratzler.
Toxics.
Okay.
I haven't set up my own Discord yet.
It was
So we
probably a
have
week
the
after Julie
as the gavel
Jensen's
drops.
death. Do you remember
Okay.
speaking
Is
to
where a
a
lot of us hang
detective?
out.
Yes,
And he came to your home?
Yes.
Right here.
And he wanted to talk to you about Julie Jensen's death.
Yes,
He also wanted to talk to you about what you knew about Julie Jensen.
I guess so.
Well, miss, I'm showing a
And
picture
you knew
going
Julie
out.
Jensen because your boys were friends.
Right.
Were you a member of this book club?
No.
So it was really because the boys were friends that you two talked to each other.
Yes.
So you didn't know a lot about Julie Jensen.
I mean, I knew her for 4 years.
Right.
I mean,
Did you guys vacation together?
no.
Go out to lunches together?
Maybe once.
And what you told one of the things you talked to Detective Ratzberg about was Julie Jensen discussed getting a job with you.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Not particularly.
Okay. One of the things you talked to Detective Ratzberg about was that Julie Jensen said she was supposed to start a job at Bradford High School.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Very vague.
Do you remember telling Detective Ratzberg that she told you she was going to start on December 7th?
No, I don't remember that specifically.
That's fine. But you do remember talking to Detective Ratzberg
Yes.
and him asking you questions.
Yes, but I don't remember the conversation.
You don't remember the questions, but you remember him
Correct.
asking you questions.
Correct.
And he was taking notes on what you said.
I guess so.
Were you answering his questions truthfully, if you
Objection.
remember?
Of course, yeah.
This is all irrelevant, unless, is there some prior inconsistent statement?
I don't have to just cross her on inconsistent statements.
No, but she's got to cross her on something relevant. How is it relevant that she spoke to Detective Ratzberg at some point?
Well, maybe she's trying to see what was said to the detective at that time.
Thank you,
Well,
Judge.
and Your Honor, what was said to Detective Ratzberg was hearsay. So if she wants to ask her about the topic of conversation,
Not what was said
she
to
can
him.
ask her to Julie
Well, maybe
Jensen.
there's a statement, I don't know, so we'll see where we're going.
I'm asking the declarant what she said to Detective Ratzberg. Thank
Which
you,
is
Judge.
hearsay. And
No,
so what you should
it's
ask
not.
the declarant is, did Julie ever talk to you about getting a job? She can ask her that. She doesn't need to ask her about hearsay statements.
doesn't know what
Just
declarant
ask her.
means.
And if she doesn't remember, then she can refresh her recollection.
I'm not going to refresh her recollection, but I will ask that question that way.
Mr. Jambai, you can't be both. You can't be the defense attorney and the prosecutor for questioning. So let her do her job, and we will get through this case. Thank you.
Ms. Shore, do you remember Julie Jensen
There'll
talking
be
to you about
fireworks.
getting a job at Bradford High School?
Right now, I can't remember.
Do you remember Julie Jensen telling you that she was going to start a job at Bradford High School on December 7th?
I don't remember.
You do remember talking to a detective,
Yes.
and you remember answering his questions
Yes.
truthfully. One of the things that you testified before this jury today was that David said his mom was sick, right?
Yes.
And David said, my dad won't take her to the hospital.
Yes.
When you talked to Detective Ratzberg, you didn't tell him that David said Mark Jensen wouldn't take her to the hospital.
Okay.
Is that true?
I don't remember.
Counsel, can you direct me to the document you're referring to?
Police reports.
Okay, what page?
Page 17 of Detective Ratzberg's report.
We're buffering.
And for the record, what document are you talking about? That you were just flashing over to the other side?
I'm crossing her on statements she made to Detective Ratzberg. So the document I'm looking at is Detective Ratzberg's report. I'm not going to show it to her because I don't think that would help.
All right.
Did you talk to Julie Jensen about her concerns about Douglas going into daycare?
Vaguely remember.
And the reason you talked to her about that is she didn't want him to go into daycare, which is why she was trying to get a job in the school system.
Right. There was preschool he was in, but she didn't want him to go to daycare all day long.
And again, you had a chance to see David Jensen on December 2nd.
Yes.
And he'd been coming over to your house every other Wednesday for months.
Yes.
And he never mentioned anything to you?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. I have nothing further.
Any redirect from the state?
Yes, I can't find the document, so I just want to find, yeah, but I want to know which page it's on.
Okay, guys, we're having a lot of buffering. I'm going to have to call it for today. This isn't how you guys deserve to watch crime, true crime, court cases. So we're gonna end it. I'm gonna need you guys to watch it and try to find another source. I will tell you that TMJ4 has a good feed. WISN has great audio. Law and Crime has neither of both. But we'll get there. The internet's cranky. I'm showing right now that my cache on my end is about 58% full, which means you're probably hearing this about a minute after it's been recorded. Even though it's better for you, it's still caching. It's not clearing the cache, which means it's going to eventually hit 100%, and that's when it drops.
So
we will be back. I will try to be back later today. I'll keep testing. But
Bradford High School.
מריקי just sent a super sticker with 4.99.
Call it.
how in the world did you get that voice?
I'll try to read this part.
Oh my goodness. Mary Kay, thank you. I don't know why that voice came in.
To ask if Detective Rexburg report is going to refresh her
That's
report,
funny.
because it's not her report.
I'll have to check and see why that voice just announced the super sticker.
It's a statement by somebody else, so.
So you don't remember talking to Detective Ratsburg? I mean, you do remember talking to Detective Ratsburg.
We're slowly filling up,
Starting
unfortunately.
a job at Bradford High School.
It's like slowly drowning. The end is
Can't
coming.
remember as I sit here now.
Okay.
I just,
But you do recall telling Detective
Okay,
Ratsburg
everybody,
about the statement
find your
that
favorite
made?
stream. I'm going to miss you guys today. Do want you to watch
I
this
don't
and let me know what
remember
you think about it.
anything that I said
Keep me
to him
updated on the
as I
burner
sit here
phone
now.
if you can.
I'm going to,
As we're sort of, if you can still hear me, I realize it's not buffering anymore, but my cache is filling up on my end. So, but the problem has not gone away. So even though it starts and stops, it's getting worse on my side. And eventually,
Spoke to
when
Detective
my cache is
Ratsburg.
full, it's like the memory's
do you
full. It
remember
won't be able to record
how you
anymore,
described
and
the
then it'll just start
conversation
dropping
that you
out.
had with Eric about
So
what
we'll
David
have the
told
IT guys fix our internet
I
over the
just can't
weekend.
remember talking to
I will
what I
try
said
to
to
live
him.
stream again today. If the
just-
system just gets
Well,
better because it is intermittent,
Tell us if
we'll
you
do it.
can- I want you to think back to the
I'll be
morning of
back. I
December
appreciate the
4th,
love. I appreciate the kind
1998,
words.
and
You guys
think
cheering me up,
about
even though
the
things are going
conversation that
sort of bad
you
this
had
morning.
with Eric, what Eric
It will get
told
better.
you
We will be back.
about
Thank
this
you for trying. Thanks for the
conversation.
gifted
Back to
sub.
that
Thanks
for
for
a
the
moment.
Yeah, I
the sticker.
remember Eric telling me.
You guys are
What
amazing.
exactly did Eric
This is a
tell
great
you?
community. I will be back.
Said
We'll
my
be
mom
here
is sick.
again soon.
and she's breathing.
Watch
like
this and enjoy it. Unfortunately, on your own.
a deep breathing,
But
and my dad won't, and his dad won't take
Tiffany
it to
Marie
him.
just sent a super sticker with 1.99.
thank you, Tiffany. Appreciate you. Everybody, mods, everybody. You guys are amazing. Please
You don't
hug the
remember
people you
that?
love. Smile at somebody, make their day better. You guys have smiled at me and made my day a little bit better. Hopefully soon it'll get even better than that. But if it does, we'll be back on live.
Briefly, Judge,
If not,
Mr.
we'll see
since
you
this case,
trying
Jensen's
tomorrow
passing,
and then
you've
Monday.
spoken to your son
I'm
about
gonna
this
try. So
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
Your excuse.
thank you guys. You're amazing. Have a wonderful day, all of you, and enjoy the court stream. I'll try to put some community posts on YouTube. Just with what I'm seeing, I'll sort of update with the BK stuff with what's happening there in Idaho.
Angela Martinelli.
It looks like this is getting good. I will follow this during the day as well, but we'll see you tomorrow. And that guy says, I will go down with this ship. Thank you. I appreciate it. DMB, everybody. You guys are amazing. Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you guys later. If I can get the music. I'm going to get rid of my little beep sound. I shouldn't have to use that again. But it was a frustrating morning. Oh my goodness. Let's see. We'll play a little bit of music here. At least make it look official, like I'm quitting on my own terms. They can't make me leave. I decided to go on my own. Thank you guys. Enjoy trials today. We'll talk to you in the morning or later today if the stars align. Thanks.
Standing, raise your right hand. Solemnly mom swear the test?
Yeah, her youngest was, yes,
And one of your children?
and one of mine.
And so no difference in her demeanor in terms of how she treated her child?
No.
Did it just start working again?
I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Martinelli, you said you were neighbors with the Jensens until sometime in 1997,
Yes,
and you continued to remain friends when you saw each other picking up your children?
yes, we still lived in the same neighborhood, just a little farther away.
And although you knew Julie Jensen and did this book club with her, your families didn't like vacation
Can you guys hear me?
No, we did go over to their house for dinner.
So you knew Mark Jensen also?
Yes,
Now, you said you've known Julie Jensen since 1991 when you were in the same neighborhood.
yes,
And the last time you spoke to her was this lunch on November 20th of 1998.
correct.
And you both had 3-year-olds at the time?
Yes,
It'd be fair to say that when you have
Yes,
a
from Linda.
3-year-old and you're eating lunch, you're also helping your 3-year-old eat lunch.
yes.
I can't
Make
promise
sure
that the
they're
stream will
eating
stay
their
up.
food.
Yes,
Make sure they're sitting still,
yes,
not running around the neighborhood
correct.
or around the restaurant. And that's something you and Julie Jensen also did.
Yes,
Now, she said that she was making pies for Thanksgiving.
yes,
Okay,
She
so
never mentioned any concerns about
my connection
eating
just
or drinking when
massively
she was talking
improved.
to you?
Like somebody
In
fixed
fact,
something on the
Julie
ISP
Jensen's the
side.
one that did most of the cooking in that Jensen household.
I don't know.
And for Thanksgiving, she talked about how she was going to make the pies.
Correct.
When you talked to
Still
Julie
fluctuating,
Jensen,
though.
you didn't
We'll
have
try this as much as we
conversations
can.
about problems in marriages.
No,
And Julie Jensen never complained to you about any problem in her marriage.
no,
She never talked about any affairs.
no,
She never said on November 20th of 1998 that she was afraid of her husband.
no,
She also never talked to you about depression
no,
or her own depression.
no.
You were at the November Book Club?
I was not.
You were not at the November Book Club. Were you at the October Book Club?
Yes,
And did you miss other book clubs? If you remember.
rarely.
Were you a bad book club member?
It's fair to say that.
Did you read the
people
books?
in the book club sometimes missed book clubs.
Yes,
They might have had family issues,
correct.
work obligations.
Yes,
Did you keep track of who came or didn't come to a book club?
no, not really.
Had you been at book clubs at the Jensen's house before?
Yes,
You never saw any unusual behavior at the Jensen home?
no,
Never saw Mr. Jensen angry with his wife,
no,
yell at his wife,
no,
demean his wife?
no,
And Mrs. Jensen never talked to you about any of those things?
no,
Never expressed any concern?
no.
And that includes on November 20th?
That's right.
Thank you, ma'am. I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Anything else from the state?
Yes,
No, Your
because you
Honor.
didn't see it, does that mean it didn't happen? Okay, I'm going to pause this just for a second on this feed. Until we get right on. Give me just 1 second here.
That would be, the state is calling Joseph Manji, number 46.
Okay, I'm going to pause this right here while we talk just for a minute, just so I can get a couple different things synced up. Why do they make book club such a terrible thing, says Golden Mom? I don't know. My wife does one, and I think it's great. Although I don't read the books that she does. She is much better at reading books than I am. I always want to watch the movie. Did you kill his wife, and do you have 3 camera angles of that murder? Yeah, that's the next question. Give me just 1 second. We're going to try to line these up.
Thank you.
Let's see. Is he putting on his glasses here? Okay, we're getting close. It's sort of confusing when I've got multiple feeds happening at the same time. Who's coming in the door first? Okay, I'm just trying to watch the new witnesses. New Witness has a great hairdo as well. We're having a lot of good hairdos, throwbacks, or in this case, comb-overs. Let's see what we've got. So 3. so we need to pause this one. Okay, synced up. All right. Danielle, thanks, guys. I'm going to try to keep this going. The internet here is spotty at best.
Standing, sir, I'll swear
Right now it's working well.
Right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony in this matter be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. You can have a seat. Get as close as you can to the smaller microphone. And if you could spell your first and last name for the court reporter.
It's Joseph Mangi, JOSEPH
Thank you. Who's doing the questioning?
I am, Judge.
Go ahead, Ms. McNeil.
Mr. Mangi, during your career, did you work in the Kenosha Unified School System?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about your career in Kenosha Unified?
My wife and I came to Kenosha in 1970, and I taught reading and study skills at Washington Junior High for 1 year, and then was appointed the Dean of Students at Lincoln Junior High the following year.
We had some
And 2 years later was appointed the Assistant Principal at Bullen Junior High. I was there for 3 years, and then I was appointed principal at McKinley Junior High, and then that was 7 years, and then at Lance Junior High for 2 years, and then Bradford High School for 18 years from 1987 to 2005.
And after that, did you retire, or what happened after 2005?
I tried to retire.
They wouldn't let me.
The following year, I was principal at Ipsola for a year, and then the following year I was appointed superintendent from 2007 to 2010, and then retired again, and then came back to be superintendent in 2014.
Are you now retired?
Sort of.
Are you getting paid to be here today?
So then, to be clear, in 1998, you would have been the principal at Bradford High School?
Yes, I was.
Now, sometime in the late fall of 1998, was Bradford High School hiring for a secretary in the office?
Yes, we needed a part-time secretary.
And did a person by the name of Julie Jensen apply for that
We are
job?
back on
Yes,
briefly.
she did.
I never really killed the stream.
Were you part of the interview
I was just
process?
testing
Were
some
you
stuff,
one of the interviewers?
and during the
Yes,
testing,
I was the main
things got better.
interviewer.
So I just
And
continued
did
to live.
Ms.
So
Julie Jensen
nobody
get
has
an
been.
interview?
No one will get a
Yes.
notification that we're
so I'm
live,
going to show you an exhibit.
unless I stop it and restart it. But I'm afraid that it just won't work if I do that. We are back again, Sharon. Thank you very much. Thanks for popping back in, JoJo, as well. I thought we were done, but as long as the internet's up, I want to stream it. I'd rather watch it with you guys than on my own. So I'm confusing people.
So I've put in front of you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 8. Is that the resume Julie Jensen would have submitted for this job?
Yes.
And what kind of skills were you looking for this part-time legal secretary or part-time secretary?
Well, we're a high school, so my philosophy was to look for someone who loved kids, loved working with kids, and loved education. It would have been someone with good relationship skills, with office efficiency, typewriting skills. We did not have computers at the time, so it would have been typewriting skills. Efficient, professional, kind, being able to carry on good relationships, primarily with students, parents, the teachers, office personnel.
And so, did you end up interviewing Ms. Jensen the morning of November 20th of 1998?
I believe so.
What was your impression of Ms. Jensen during that interview?
Objection, relevance.
If she appeared to be actively seeking and wanting this job, fitting the criteria?
Well, I'll let you go in a little bit in that area. Go ahead.
So you may answer the question of your impressions of Ms. Jensen.
She appeared to be very professional, kind, easy to talk to, upbeat, efficient, all of those things.
So did you think, based on that
I have a
interview,
question
she
for
was a
him.
good fit for the job?
Yes, I did.
Now, looking at State's Exhibit 8, this resume, did Julie Jensen express in this resume that she had computer skills?
No, it wouldn't have come up because we didn't have computers at the time, so we weren't looking for that, and so she would not have discussed it because they weren't available. I mean, the only computer that I can remember was to track student attendance, and that wasn't the position she was applying for. All of the secretaries had typewriters at the time.
I have a question. Is that the same tie he wore back then?
Now, as part of your trying to figure out whether Ms. Jensen was a good fit for this job, did you learn about her volunteering at Southport Elementary School?
Yes, it's always part of the process that you talk to someone and get a reference. So I did call the Southport principal, and he was very positive about her work at the school as a volunteer.
And now, in terms of this particular job, was there a minimum number of people you had to interview?
Yes, there were 3. The minimum number of candidates, the policy
Where are you hearing
is
that? The last,
you must
last
interview
poet.
3 candidates for any position. And so she was the second of the 3 candidates.
And so once you were done with the interview process and you had interviewed the number of candidates you needed to, who did you decide to hire for the job?
Julie Jensen.
And in order to hire her, how did you try to contact her?
I called the home.
And so I want you to think to that time period when you would have called the home. Would that have been sometime the week of November 30th?
Yes.
And so after Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Where are you hearing this?
We interviewed Julie Jensen November 20th. That was Thanksgiving week, I believe. And so the following Monday, I may have interviewed the 3rd candidate. And so I would have called the home to inform Mrs. Jensen that she had the position, and it would have been either Tuesday or Wednesday, the middle of the week. I don't recall exactly which day, but probably the Tuesday or Wednesday of that week.
Okay. And so November turning into
Yeah,
December,
you are back.
Tuesday is December
Afternoon,
1st,
everyone.
and
Hope
Wednesday
you
is
are all
December
good,
2nd?
smiling
Yes.
face with
Do you
smiling
think
eyes and
one of
rosy
those 2 days?
cheeks.
Yes.
Thank you,
Now, when
Crafty
you
Cow.
called the Jensen home, did Julie Jensen
Hopefully it
answer?
stays back.
No, she did
We're
not.
hoping the internet.
Okay,
Keep your
who
fingers
answered the
crossed.
phone?
I
Nobody
believe
breathe
it
on the
was
wires.
Mr. Jensen.
Okay, so it was a male who answered the phone
Yes, it was.
and sounded like an adult.
Yes.
You knew she had a husband.
Yes.
And do you recall whether he identified himself or not?
I identified myself. Hello, this is Joe Mangy, principal of Bradford High School, and I'd like to speak to Julie Jensen. We'd like to offer her the position of the part-time secretary.
And so your belief was you were telling this to her husband.
Yes.
And what was his response?
His response was, she's asleep. She's going to be asleep for a long time, and he laughed.
How would you describe the laugh?
He laughed.
Well, it wasn't a loud guffaw. It was, making light of the situation. I mean, I wasn't anticipating a laugh, so it was disconcerting, but it definitely was a laugh, like you would make light of a situation or whatever.
Now, you would have called during normal daytime hours, correct?
That's correct.
So you weren't calling very late at night?
No. It would have been during the school day.
So did you ever end up actually speaking to Julie Jensen to offer her the job?
No, I did not.
So what's the next thing that you learned about Julie Jensen?
It was a day or two later that I learned that she had died. So
HDMI cord find.
And do you have a
We'll add that to the
recollection
fund.
of how
Thank
you
you so much.
learned that?
Pickles Not Politics, formerly TW.
It's hard to remember. I
Gotcha.
believe
I
it
knew what you
might
were
have
going for.
been. I live in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And when I could, I would take walks after school hours. Many times I'd come home at 4:30 because there was always an evening event at Bradford. Tuesday nights were girls basketball, Thursday nights were wrestling, Wednesday nights were swimming, and so I would go back to the school because the kids needed to see their principal supporting them. At least that's how I felt. So it may have been a neighbor in the neighborhood. It may have been the nurse, Mrs. Labanowski, who also was a neighbor and was our school nurse at Bradford.
So do you think it was still during the school week and not a weekend that you learned she had died?
Yes.
Now, after learning that, did that cause you additional concern about that conversation you had had?
Yes, it did.
And so what did you do, given that you had this additional concern?
Well, I spoke with Mrs. Labanowski, the nurse, because she seemed to have known Mrs. Jensen. And then I spoke to the police liaison officer at Bradford. I believe it may have been Detective Rick Bentz. I remember speaking to him. And he said, well, it's Pleasant Prairie. We don't have jurisdiction there. You need to call the Pleasant Prairie Police Department and share your concern. So that's what I did.
All right, and so
Yes, thank you, Tag. I'll
what
see if
were
I can
your
pull those.
concerns in that moment that caused you to call the Pleasant Prairie Police Department?
Well, it's unsettling. It's disconcerting. It just
Lisa, this is like the principal,
didn't
and he
fit somehow.
he had
So
interviewed,
I thought, well, if
Julie
it's pertinent
and was trying to hire
anything,
her
it's my civic duty to
as a
inform
secretary.
somebody. Let the police sort it out. I wasn't settled. It bothered me. Something wasn't right.
So now, just one more time, take a look at State's Exhibit number 8. Based on Ms. Jensen's resume, was she a homemaker working from her home from May of 1991 until the time that you were about to offer her this job?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
So I would move State's Exhibit 8 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
All right, it's received.
There's a
Are we
lawsuit.
done with the direct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge. Is it Manji?
Manji, yes.
Mr. Manji, I want to direct you to that Exhibit 8 sitting in front of you. That's the resume you received from Julie Jensen.
Yes.
And at the bottom of that resume that you received from Julie Jensen, it does talk about general office skills.
Yes.
And one of the general office skills you see listed is typing.
Yes.
Another one is filing.
Yes.
And the last one on there says online security order entry.
Okay.
Is that what it says, sir?
That's what it says.
You didn't actually talk to her about all of the general office skills she had.
Well, typing would have been one of them. Filing would have been one of them. Record keeping. Mostly it was interaction with students, teachers, and parents. I mean, we were a large school, 1,800 students. So I was looking for somebody that would good relationship skills with kids, with people.
So, Mr. Manji, you didn't actually talk to her about all of the general office skills she had.
Well, we wouldn't have talked about, yes, we did. We talked about office skills in general that were pertinent to the job.
So the office skills listed on Miss Jensen's resume Did you talk to her about every single general office skill she had when you were interviewing her?
Everything but online security order entry, because at the time we didn't have computers, so we wouldn't have talked about that at all.
Thank you.
Same hairstyle,
and
same tie.
Just like you just said, you didn't talk to her because computer use was not something you needed for this job.
That's correct.
She did tell you she could type.
Yes.
She didn't mention any concerns with how fast she could type.
No.
When you were speaking to Miss Jensen during this interview, she never told you that Mr. Jensen didn't want her to get a job.
No, that never came up.
And at the end of the interview, you didn't offer her the job.
I couldn't because she was the second of three candidates. I had to wait for the third candidate to be interviewed.
So at the end of the interview, you didn't offer her the job.
No, I wasn't able to.
You didn't pick a start date.
No.
You told her you'd get back to her.
Yes.
Now, you testified that the week of November 30th is when you called the Jensen home.
Yes.
And just to clarify, November 20th of 1998 was a Friday.
I believe so, yes.
And then you were going to complete the rest of the interviews the next week, Thanksgiving week.
Yes.
And it was the week after that that you contacted the Jensen home.
Yes, because the third candidate need to be interviewed. I don't remember. It was Thanksgiving week. It was hard to, to interview people Thanksgiving week. So it may have been that week, the third candidate. It may have been the following Monday. But then it would have been Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe, as best by the succeeding principal.
Okay, I want to talk to you a little bit about the timing of the phone call. You testified on direct you thought it was sometime during the school day.
Yes.
And the school day was what hours? 7:30 until 2:55?
That was the school day for students, yes.
Your school day was longer.
Yes, I was there at 6:30 in the morning because we had before school breakfast for a lot of students. And I would have been there after school. I tried to be a visible principal, so that's when you got your paperwork done from 5:30.
So when you said on direct that it would have been sometime during the school day, you're talking about your school day.
It would have been during the school day, most likely. Things are, with a big school like that, are pretty hectic in the morning and then through the lunch hours. But then things calm down after 1:30, between 1:30 and 3. So it was probably in that time zone when things were calmer and I had time to think.
It could have been after the students had left the school when you were sitting there doing paperwork.
It could have been. Most likely it was the early afternoon. It could have been 3:30 or so, but probably no later than that.
Do you remember testifying in this case on January 28th of 2008?
Yes.
And you were asked about what time you made this particular call.
Yes.
And I'm going to refer counsel to page 170, lines 4 to 11. Mr. Manji, you were asked, do you recall during which time you would have made this particular call? And you responded, I don't, I do not. You were then asked, okay, could it have been after school hours? And your response was, it could have been.
That's true.
Thank you, sir. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about this conversation you had when you called the Jensen home. Okay?
Okay.
You identified yourself.
Yes.
And you said, I want to offer Miss Jensen this job.
Yes.
And the individual on the phone advised you that Miss Jensen was asleep.
Yes.
And I think your testimony was
that you would be sleeping
asleep
for
for a long time.
Yes.
And then that person laughed.
Yes.
And you said it wasn't a loud laugh.
No,
Like a guffaw, I think you said.
that's correct. It wasn't that.
And it wasn't a long laugh.
Well, I mean, it was a laugh. I mean, it wasn't forever, but
Please laugh.
when you're not expecting something,
I want to hear him try to replicate it.
it was like making light of the situation kind of laugh.
That's not what she wanted to have him say.
So it was in light of, it was like making light of a situation.
Yes.
That's what you got from the laugh.
That's what I recollect. Yes, that's what I got from it.
Thank you. You had never met Mr. Jensen.
No, never.
You'd never spoken to him on the phone.
No,
Didn't know his voice.
nope,
Didn't know his demeanor.
no,
Didn't know if he had a nervous laugh.
no.
A nervous laugh? Why would he be nervous?
I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Any redirect?
Just to clarify, did it sound like someone just doing a nervous laugh?
You know, it didn't, to me, it didn't appear to be a nervous laugh. I mean, when you're not expecting something, you know, it's hard to determine. I remember it wasn't a loud guffaw. I don't know what a nervous laugh can be. I'm not an expert in, you know, how people
Yeah, you
laugh.
should have just said no and
especially when
stopped.
you're not anticipating something. It wasn't, do you know what I mean? It was a phone call. It was a laugh. It was making light of the situation. It's kind of how I interpreted it. It was unsettling to me. I didn't expect that, so I don't know what else I can say. It's hard to describe, you know, a laugh from 25 years ago. It's the best I can recollect.
I have no further questions.
Anything on that one question?
No.
All right, you're excused. Thank you for coming in.
You can now
All
retire
right, there's
fully.
been a request by the jury for a break, and I'm going to honor it. So let's go back and take a little break. Don't talk about the case, okay?
Okay, new drinking game. Drink every time Mark checks out his attorney. Let's see what's happened here.
All right, let's try to be back 10:15.
Let's give him a second here. Gets a little break. Okay, I've got 3 feeds going now, all synced up. All right, so here's where we are. I thank you, everyone who made it back. It's true. There was no notification for this one because I never stopped the live stream. I left it running and did some little tests on my side. The internet connection on my end has improved miraculously without anything happening, which is one of the frustration things. I wish it was something I could pinpoint and I just have fixed immediately, but it's working somewhat. So as long as it keeps working, we'll keep live streaming. I think if it goes down again, though, we'll be done. Right now, I'm getting a good 25, 30 megabits of upload speed, which is more than enough. I am still streaming in a little lower quality than I normally do. So it's not your TV or your computer that is wrong. It's just that I'm sending a poorer signal today, just to make sure we're not using as much bandwidth. That being said, let me answer a couple questions. We are expecting a little bit of action out of Idaho, like right now, but it's not going to be live streamed. Weather Watch, as AJ, it won't be live streamed, so we have to wait until it's over, and then the recording will be available. That's exactly correct. Let's see, who is this guy? Somebody just reached out to me. Oh, somebody just commented on my on my YouTube video. Let's see, which one is this one? Oh, it's on my channel. Okay, I'll respond to that person offline because he had some questions about how we run things in chat. Let's see. Questions wise, take care. Thank you, Mutt. Thanks for being here. Hope things are going well for you up there. I know you've got some stuff going on. We are going to watch the Brian K. court hearing here. Yes, that's a great question, Victoria, but we won't be able to have it until after it's over. The judge is still not allowing live streaming from the courtroom. I wish that would get addressed a little bit, but we'll see. Josh says, is it going to be like that throughout the whole trial where it's not live streamed that's showed after? Josh, that's the current understanding of the media that's in place. But I think if they'll just ask the judge to clarify that, I think they'll allow the TV cameras to live stream, but not not anyone with a cell phone. I think that's what they want. I'm certain Brian was going to confess to me this morning live via the internet, but I suspect the FAA issues yesterday scared him off. We can assume the defense will assert that the victim consumed antifreeze to commit suicide in about the most painful way she could manage. Yeah, that's their story, is that she did that way. It was my threat of townies that scared your IP that fixed things. Thank you, On a Globe. Appreciate that. You got it up and running again. While it's up, we're going to stay here. So we might be able to go all day long here without a problem. We don't know. What we don't know is how long this hearing is going to be in Idaho. It should be like happening any minute now because it was 3:00. I did see somebody was posting, who was it, that said something about a co-defendant in Brian Koberg case. And I've got a single screenshot of a court document that I can't even see the header on this, but it's highlighted and it has information about a co-defendant. I'm not sure if this is just a typo, if this was a copy-paste issue, because of the information I'm seeing here. It says statements of co-defendant, any written or recorded statements by a co-defendant, and the substance of any relevant oral statement made by co-defendant, whether before or after arrest in response to interrogation by any person known for co-defendant. So this is like this would be I think it's a request for discovery, is what it sounds like. Okay, and so I think this is just a form letter that gets sent. It's not saying that there is a co-defendant. Thanks for the update, Weather Watch. Yeah, he is the individual who reached out to me. I'll talk to him one-on-one, but I appreciate you. Good work. Sorry, my end is a little nuts. It's working right now. I wish I had the confidence that would keep working. I don't want to lull you guys into or basically promise you that you're going to get one thing and then not be able to deliver. So it's frustrating to me that it's not as stable as it should be. Let's see. I've been absorbed about the missing woman. That trail will be interesting. Okay, so that case is going to be a gory one with what information we've heard. That's the one where the husband's already in custody on an unrelated charge about selling Andy Warhol paintings that were fake. Joan, welcome. We've had a rough start this morning. I do apologize for all the internet issues. I will say I don't think it was on my end. I think it's on the ISP side. We're going to get that sorted out this weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to limp through the shows today and tomorrow and then get it fixed for a smooth week next week. We have a lot of big trials coming up this month, and we need to have it in tip-top shape for those. Let's see. Just scrolling through, sorry. Okay. She had prescriptions that would have worked. Why die painfully with antifreeze? Yeah, North American girl. This is a great question. Why would she choose the most painful way to die to try to frame her husband? Great question. We're in break right now. I'll keep an eye on that while it's going. apparently everything's working right now. All my equipment's working together after doing all the bounces and resets and tech support that we've had. Let's see. Tag has sent me a video of cats screeching, which might be appropriate for some points during this trial. I think mostly it's the prosecutor, the Alfred Hitchcock prosecutor, that sometimes gets a little riled up, and he spins up so fast too. I mean, one time he's nice and quiet, and then seconds later he's at full volume, even so loud that yesterday the judge says, "I think the jury heard that," and the jury was out in the other room; they had been excused, but he was yelling loud enough that they heard that. Are they streaming the Idaho case this morning? Not streaming, Greg, unfortunately. We're still under the order from the judge saying no live streaming from the courtroom. I believe that will change. I think that will change before the trial starts. Can you rewind back to the part where the judge gives defense an attitude while on break? Tag, how far ago was that? I can rewind any one of these. I've got 3 feeds. Let's see. I'd probably do it on Fox 6. Let me see if I can find that here. Because there was a plaid shirt or checkered shirt guy. Was it after that? Let me see. Let me see if this is it. This is I think this is during a break. This is a rewind right here. This is not live. No, I don't think this is it. Tag, I missed it because I was having the issues with the internet. Is your internet cooperating now? Barely. We're limping along at subpar levels.
Remain standing. Raise your right hand.
Okay. So this is not the one. I'll keep an eye. Keep looking for it. If somebody could give me a link, either a link with a timestamp, if that's possible. Hi from Wisconsin, the Alfred Hitchcock prosecutor. I don't remember his name. If somebody can tell me who the gentleman is, the guy on that got into it with the judge yesterday. I'd be happy to call him by his real name, but let's see. We even got a soundbite for him, right? Let's see. What's not my name? I don't remember. Somebody can trigger it for me. Don't know where it's at. Limping along with you in your walker. Thanks, Bella.
For the record, I don't consent to that.
That's it, right there. Adam, thank you for coming through with that one. I don't know what his name is. He's going to be Alfred Hitchcock until I can figure that out. But if there was some action this morning, I'd love to rewind and watch that. That would be really fun. It's the very start. Okay, the feed I was watching TMJ6. Sorry, Fox 6 doesn't have it. Let me try a different feed. I might have to take it from Law and Crime. A lot of these news stations sort of join late. Hitchcock was on the original prosecution of Jensen. That's interesting. So he's frustrated because he got the conviction once before and now has to do it all over again. No wonder he's angry. Before any witnesses. Okay, I'm going to find it. Might take it from Court TV. They should have a feed here. It's only letting me go back an hour. Yeah, the YouTube player is only letting me go back 1 hour on those live streams. So I don't think I'll be able to get it until after the live stream stopped. Let's see. They have a gun smoke moment. Lawyer Karen, is that the quiet one, or is that are you talking prosecutor or defense? I'm not sure which lawyer Karen you're talking about. And we use the term Karen loosely. I realize we have some amazing Karens here in chat as well. Not all Karens are the same.
I don't consent to that name. Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Let's see. What are the odds the defendant will get guilty verdict with additional time? It's a possibility. Is the death penalty on the table here? This is Wisconsin. I don't think it is. Wisconsin abolished the death penalty. We brought that up with Brooks. So yeah, no death penalty. So the worst is going to be the same as he's already got: life in prison without parole. Right. Thank you, Sunshine and Sunflowers. No death penalty up there. I think they abolished it back in like 1851 or something. It's been a long time since they killed somebody. They had a really traumatic public hanging that did not go well. Like it took several attempts or a long time to accomplish its goal. And everyone's like, "Oh, that was no good. Let's not do that again." And they stopped. Let's see. You guys have funny names for these people. You've got lip gloss lawyer, and then the talkback lawyer is what we've got, right? The lady right in the middle of the room, straight hair. She seems to be more calm. Even in like the heated moments, she seems to be more in control. No death penalty. Thank you guys for that. 135 on lawn crime. The judge refers to the lawyers watching Gunsmoke instead of reading the documents as requested last night. Oh man. Let's see. Let me see if I can. I'm not sure how many streams I can pull up. Let me try to pull up a fourth stream right now.
Again, we're carefully monitoring any updates.
This is law and crime out of Idaho.
From that status hearing that is happening, and we will let you know the latest on that. We will take more of your questions. And
yeah, they're still waiting for the video. The hearing's going on up in Idaho. Let's see. John Dubois. Is it Dubois? That's a French name. Casey Jones had commented on the YouTube, not in chat, but Casey says the lawyer's name is John Dubois. He's the original prosecutor. So I guess we need to vote now if we call him Hitchcock or Dubois. I say Dubois because I had in high school I was running cross country and my coach had the same last name and he pronounced it Dubois, saying it was French. It might be Du Bois. I'm not sure what happened there. Looks like we got a brief hot mic moment. Camera 5. Why is camera 5 hot? Audio-wise. It's not even routed there. Okay.
All right. I need a camera.
Here we go. So they said all rise and the cameraman panned up. Nice.
For the record, I don't consent to that now.
Hitchcock. What about Alfred Dubois or something? It's a common name in Canada. It is French. It has French roots, and Canada has some strong French connections there. Dubois.
All right, we are back on the record again on Mr. Jensen's case. The appearances are the same. The jury's back in the courtroom. Mrs. McNeil, who is the next witness?
Kimberly Noble, Your Honor. Formerly known as Kimberly Shaw.
The Kimberly formerly known as Shaw. Is our next witness here. Dubois. Okay, we'll go with Dubois. And Hitchcock. When I forget Dubois, I'm going to call him Hitchcock.
Maybe you'd stand and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony is meant to be the truth, whole truth, not but the truth, so help you God. Try to get as close as you can to that smaller microphone.
Okay.
And then spell your first and last name for the reporter.
Kim Noble, Kimnoble.
She's nervous.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Jamboy.
Thank you. And Ms. Noble, did you know a person by the name
Jamboy?
of Julie Jensen?
I did.
Tell the jury how you came to know Julie Jensen.
I lived in the same neighborhood as Julie, and we were in a book club together. And she babysat for my daughter for the first 2 years of her existence.
So what year was it that you first met Julie Jensen, if you can recall?
We moved into the neighborhood in '92.
And how was it that you first came to meet or know Julie Jensen?
Introduced by neighbors. So when
Probably while pushing
we would
the
go
pram.
outside, we would talk, and
stroller.
then we joined a book club together.
So between the
book
time
club.
of 1992
You're right, Ivan.
and
She's
the
one of
time
those
Julie's
ladies.
death in 1998, about how often would you see Julie Jensen?
We moved down the street a little bit in 1996. So at that point in time, it became more for just book club, which was once a month. But prior to that, when we lived very close, we would see each other outside. And when she was babysitting for Clarice, then more frequently, because I would drop off or pick up Clarice once a day.
So between 1992 and 1996, when
We have
you
to,
were living
Ivan, you're right.
closer
We have to
them,
drink every
where-
time
where
they talk
exactly
about
did you
book
live in
club.
relation to the
That's our
Jensen
drinking
residence?
word.
There were 2 houses in between our houses, and I was south, so,
Okay, so you lived the third house to the south of their house.
correct.
And so during the summer months, could you tell us what your typical interaction would be, if any, with Julie Jensen between 1992 and 1996?
A lot of people would walk, so in the earlier years, people would walk and be around with kids in strollers, and we'd stop
Strollers.
and talk.
I called
Julie
it.
would work in the yard, and so we'd stop and talk, and also when I would drop off Clarice, either in the morning or pick her up in the afternoon, we would just talk about general things, what's going on.
This is a Monty
So,
Python reference
what
from
was
Bitfinex.
Clarice's
It's a great
date
one,
of
too.
birth?
June 6, 1994.
And so how long were you at home with Clarice before you had to go back to work?
I had 8 weeks leave, so approximately beginning of September, end of August.
You went back to work?
Yes.
And so what did you do with Clarice when you went back to work?
Julie babysat for Clarice.
So that must have been hard to be with your baby for 2 months and then have to leave her and to go to work?
It was, but I
So-
chose to be a working mom.
Yes, and so you wouldn't leave your 2-month-old baby with just anybody?
No.
you were very concerned about making sure that you had a good place to put Clarice,
Correct.
and you decided on Julie?
Yes.
And what were the qualities about Julie that would cause you to trust her enough to leave?
We're going to have a little
your 2-month-old
ASMR here
baby
while I
daughter
fill up
in
the
her
mug.
care?
She was very kind, very compassionate. I never really heard her yell or raise her voice. She was just an all-around nice person.
Had you seen her as a mother with her children?
Yes.
And what kind of a mother did you perceive her to be with her children?
Kind, compassionate.
Creative Beat. This is the breaking news we're waiting for out of Idaho.
Learn things.
That the preliminary hearing is 6
involved
months
in what
away.
the kids were doing, and just all around what I would say is a good mom.
We're gonna interrupt as soon as the video is
during the time
available
that,
on that live stream. So give me just
Mrs.
1 second.
Jensen, Julie Jensen was
It's not a live
watching
stream, but on
Clarice. You would drop Clarice
the
off
court
with
feed.
her?
Either drop her off or pick her up, depending on work schedules. My husband and
We
I
have to wait for them to
alternate.
end the process in court, and then we can
whenever
take
you
the live
picked up
stream as soon as it's
Clarice,
available,
did
and I
she
will bring
appear
that
to
to you
be in
live.
good shape?
We'll just cut right over.
Yes.
Did Julie and Clarice appear to have developed a bond? Could you perceive?
It seemed to me that she was doing a very good job taking care of Clarice, and Clarice was very happy to be there.
Clarice never threw a fit about going to the
No,
Jensen.
no.
And that was from about August of 92, I'm sorry, August of 94?
Yes, to about September of 96.
And why was it that you then had Clarice go somewhere else, if you can recall?
I
would object. This is irrelevant. I don't.
Tell me where we're going, Mr. Jim.
We're looking for good babysitters in the area. That's what we're doing.
Yes. Well, Your Honor, if you'll recall the opening statement that was made by defense
Did recall
counsel.
it. From the defense, correct?
Yes, by the
And
defense.
the issue was brought up, mental health,
Yes.
suicide, correct?
Yes, in the years preceding this incident.
So we will continue with this line of questioning.
Thank you, Your Honor. That means you can answer the question. So I forgot. I'd asked the reporter to read back.
Did she just scratch her face with her middle finger on the prosecution side? Is that what she just did? All her fingers were up, but the middle finger was just doing this. I think I know what she was thinking. Video's available. We're going to watch it here in just a second. I'm just watching the feed here on that. Switch her to 6.
Talking about, let's dip in and watch.
Okay, here we go.
So in
I'm going to change the audio.
late
Let's
August,
see.
early September.
Let's kill that. So we're just going
So we
to
were waiting for Mr. Koberger to enter the room.
leave
for
this on
the
hold. This
status
is Law and
hearing.
Crimes
Bobby,
feed
Now I can ask
that
you my
we're
question
watching.
that I was going to ask you. I might have to cut you off if we hear this. This is from postcards from protest on
I'm going to
YouTube.
kill their audio for
Killing
just a
someone
minute.
with a
We'll
knife
bring it
is
back
a very
up.
messy way of killing, and this killer killed 4 people that way.
Oh, here we
There's
go.
no way there's no forensic.
He's coming in the courtroom here.
There's got to be more.
Looking
There's gotta be
great.
more evidence there.
Looking like he got his morning exercise in.
Well, yeah, that's two different questions, really. Cross-contamination is a term we use to say
Okay,
that,
cut him off. Cut him off.
You know, the DNA from one person, the forensic material from one person.
Santa Claus is in the courtroom there as well.
So, Bobby, we'll pick this up on the other side. Let's jump in and listen to the status hearing.
Okay, here we go. This just happened moments ago. We're expecting that. Thank you, Myra, for that. The video is available. We're watching it now. June 26th.
We are on the record.
Boost the audio here.
29222805. This is State of Idaho versus Brian Koberger. Mr. Koberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logston, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire of counsel. Ms. Taylor, what's the status at this time?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are going to ask the court to set preliminary hearing out into June. We would request the 3rd or 4th week of June and probably 4 or 5 days for preliminary hearing. Mr. Koberger understands his right to a timely preliminary hearing, and he's willing to waive the timeliness to allow us time to obtain discovery in this case and be prepared.
Okay, so this is
And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. And Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's the court's preference. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes. If we take that fourth week in June, that's actually best.
Okay.
okay. So he's waived his right to a timely preliminary hearing.
Mr. Koberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, and Ms. Taylor has represented here, that she's advised you of your right to have, or fully discussed with you, the right that you have, which is to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of the date that you initially appeared before this court. As you recall, when I advised you of your rights, that hearing is a probable cause hearing where the state has to establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. If you waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing, it does not mean that you're giving up your right to have a preliminary hearing. It simply means that you would not be able to come back and challenge that the state did not present probable cause within 14 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time, as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022, are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, do you concur with his waiver?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will find your waiver of speedy preliminary hearing is knowing, intelligently, voluntarily entered here in open court with the assistance of counsel. We will go ahead and set the matter for a preliminary hearing.
That might be it. I think that's it. June 26th.
Beginning
That's
Monday,
5 months away.
June 26th at 9:00 a.m. And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th.
Monday through
in the
Friday.
event that we need all 5 days.
Let's get that on the
for
calendar.
Presentation of evidence.
There's
And just
there's
so
only
council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor, no.
All right. Or Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Koberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your same no bail at this point in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to council, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The scratches look like razor cuts on his face. They only give you a single blade razor. He's likely shaved before court. No way he's a general prop. No way. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's everything.
Okay, so relatively short there.
That's everything out of Idaho. So I'm going to switch back over to the case we're following here as well, as we talk about that. Let's see, audio-wise, why am I not getting audio there? I think they're waiting. Yeah, there's just a pause.
Nothing further. Thank
There's
you,
a
ma'am.
pause in court. Okay.
Redirect.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Your excuse. Thank you.
Okay, so there we go.
So, Your Honor, let me get the next number.
Why is my audio so
So
low?
for purposes of timing, this is a video witness, and it's quite lengthy.
Zoom in on the bruise on his
so
neck,
I
please.
think if the court approves, we could stop the video for the lunch hour when it
All
gets.
right, let's start it and see where we go.
Okay, and so this would be witness number 75, Tadus or Ted Voigt.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
I didn't see any bruise. I did see shadow, but I did definitely see some cuts, and they looked very superficial, like skin level. So I would go with.
I will read to the jury again the agreement the parties have regarding
yeah, we have
recorded
video.
testimony.
We get some
You'll be
VHS
hearing and
video
seeing
here.
previously recorded testimony of witnesses who are no longer available to testify in person. You are instructed to ignore the logo which may appear on these videos because it has no relevance to this case. You are further instructed that this recorded testimony is evidence and should be evaluated the same way as.
It was exciting as the judge, he's recounting the same instructions to the jury as he did yesterday about the video. It's exciting just to see that things are moving forward.
Number 9?
That he's waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing, not his right to a speedy trial. They sort of break that into pieces. That speedy hearing, he has the right to have it within 14 days. And he said, I'm going to waive that right. And the purpose they gave was so that the defense, his defense, could get discovery and see all the evidence against them.
State your full name and spell
Let's see who this is.
Ted Voigt, TEDEUSZWOJT. And Mr. Voigt, did you know Mark and Julie Jensen? Yes. How is it that you came to know Mark and Julie Jensen? They were my next door neighbors. Where did you live at the time that you were the neighbors of the Jensens? It was a 9024 Lakeshore Drive, First Avenue at that time. And when did you first move to 9024 First Avenue? It was around 1992. And when you moved into that residence, who were you living with at that time? Yes. Who were you living with at that time? My wife. And what's your wife's name? Margaret. And do you and Margaret have any children? Yes, we do. How many children do you have, sir? 2. And how old are they? 20 and 21, sir? Right now. Yes. And what do you do for a living, Mr. White? Well, I'm in the construction and design of arts, usable arts for housings and the personal usage and everything. Tell us what you mean by usable arts for housing. Well,
They're working on the audio right now.
For like restaurants, special bars, jazz clubs, stages, furniture, desks, any type of piece that you can use for your personal use. I will work with the client and design some very unusual, creative.
This is the second DVD of the box set.
Okay. Can you describe some of the types of artwork that you've created in the past, say, 2 years or so? Oh yeah, I just finished one of the project downtown Chicago.
Okay, he's talking about the artwork he's working on. Christy, the murders were November 13th. These are new cuts. The image we had, that camera angle we had of BK a week ago, he did not have those cuts. I've compared the two videos back to back. Those are new cuts on his face. I do think they might be razor cuts, but they're very long, and the direction goes sort of the wrong way. I mean, it seems weird. Like you'd have to slide the razor along his face. That would almost make it like intentional. It might also be, like fingernail scratches. So I'm not sure. I did not see the bruise CG. I looked at that again. I'm not seeing the bruise.
How long have you been living at 9024 First Avenue?
With all the technology issues we have going on right now, I hesitate to run additional stuff over my stream and put that in the slow motion machine. We can do that probably later and look at it, but I didn't see it when I looked at it.
If you can tell the jury, if you can remember, how was it that you first met Julie Jensen? Well,
we have a lot of stuff to talk about before June. Don't worry, we'll stay busy.
We built our house. We moved to our house. I bought the lot across the street from Julie Jensen. And what year was it you bought the lot across the street from Julie Jensen, if you can remember? What year was it? Yes, do you remember? Probably 1990. Okay. And so what was it about buying that lot across the street from Julie? I bought the lot to build a house on it, because actually it had existing foundation.
And since we started building, then across the street, that lot, there was, at the moment, new construction going on, which was Julie's and Mark's house. And then on a daily basis, us coming into the construction site and leaving the construction site, we saw Julie. And actually one of the occasions, Julie actually came out to our construction site and introduced herself. She helped us a few times. She will check on us if we stayed there a little bit longer, like 9 or 10 o'clock. She was like asking, are you having a problem or some other stuff? You know, we were just working long time, long hours.
So just check on you and being a good neighbor and seeing how you were doing.
Yep. No reason, just look out and, you know.
Fire off the
so
cannon.
Did you come
Got a cover.
to view Julie Jensen as a person that was a friend of yours?
Yes. Yes, more than a neighbor, I would say a friend.
And after you built that house across the street, at some point you then apparently built a house next door to them.
Yes, there was, I think so during the construction of the house across the street, I noticed there was a sign next to Mark and Julie's house for sale. And I called the number, and actually there was Mark's telephone number. It was their lot. And we started talking, and they sold me the lot. And then I built a house there.
Now, is that the first time you ever spoken to Mark Jensen, is when you were?
No, I did spoke to him before.
So you'd also come to know Mark Jensen before you built your house there?
Yes.
And in the years that followed as you lived there, did you occasionally socialize with Mark and Julie Jensen?
Yes, we did. Yes,
Tell us some of the circumstances under which you'd socialize with them.
Well, the basic stuff was this, I liked the neighborhood, that's why we moved there. There was very like family-oriented neighborhood. They had the kids, we had the kids. So when you, on the weekends or when you come home early or something, always there was somebody out there. You could talk to Mark, Julie, on a daily basis. They're very friendly people, very nice people.
Did your children play with their children?
Yes, they did. We had a couple of times dinners together. We went, I think so, a few times to Shoney's restaurant on Highway 50. And, no, I just, nice people.
You enjoyed their company?
Yes, very.
Now, did there come a time in 1998 when Julie started to describe to you some problems that she was having in the household?
There was a few weeks. I think so. It was 6 weeks or 5 weeks before Julie died.
Yes, wife was.
I noticed the difference.
Wife had the turtleneck
Noticing
yesterday.
her
This is the
behavior.
husband. Neighbors across the
So
street.
what
or
was
next
the
door.
first time, if you can tell the jury, what was the first time that you noticed that there was a change in Julie's behavior?
Well, the biggest thing was I was leaving to work, I remember that morning, and I was, just getting ready, getting the stuff in my car, and I noticed that Julie was sitting in the front of the house on the bench, and she was like leaning down with her hands out on the railings, and she was crying. So, I just, because we've been friends, we talked a lot before, so I didn't hesitate, I just come up and I talked to her.
Nancy, we're
Now,
back.
this occurred approximately how long
hopefully to
before
stay.
she died?
Quality is a little lower
I'll
today
say
because of
5,
internet
6
issues, but
Cannot
we're going to try to stick with it today.
tell you exactly, but that was about the time. It was fall already.
So when you were talking to her, did you approach her or did she come over by you?
I did approach her. I was very concerned. I did approach her because I don't think so she didn't even see me.
And when you approached her, as you got closer to her, what did you see?
Well, when I approached her, I said she had her head down, the hands kind of spread out, and you can hear her cry. And then she pulled her head up.
she had tears on her face, you know, she was all red, and we started talking. I started asking her what's going on with this, and she didn't want to say what was the problem. She didn't want to just, you know, in the first thing. And after probably, I think it's a minute or 2 minutes of discussion, I asked her, she started kind of waving her hands and saying they had another big argument this morning. She had it with it. The situation in the house has got very intense. They will have a daily arguments, few times a day. You know, and one of the
Nancy, this is live.
things she said.
The problem's not fixed, but we're limping along with the connection we have. It will be fixed this weekend.
Got his new job. He like kind of changed, and one of the things which she said at that time, at that moment, she said she thinks Mark has got another woman, and that's why.
Got a new job and got a new woman apparently at the same time.
So much pressure from here.
Did she describe to you, if you can recall, what kind of pressure Mark was putting on her?
Well, one of this pressure was go get a job. He tell her to go get a job. This was one of the things. I think so. Douglas, the youngest son, put him in the daycare, which he really didn't want to do this because understanding they had in the house, which you told me, that she was contributing to the house by babysitting, by taking care of the kids. She was, you know, daily basis. I mean, she was really, the kids was the major thing for her.
Did you ever see Julie interacting with her children up until that point?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see what kind of a parent she was with her children?
Oh, she was a great parent. She was really, I mean, you saw her every day with the kids, playing in the front, playing in the back.
Hey Scott, KB happened just a minute ago. It was really fast. It basically just pushed everything out for 5 months. That's going to be June 26th.
If you were to describe Julie as a parent, how would you describe her? Was she a good parent or a bad parent, a great parent?
Very loving mother, very great parent.
So how long did this conversation that occurred between you and Julie last, this morning 5 or 6 weeks before she died?
Yeah, it's probably less around 45 minutes, half hour to 45 minutes usually.
I don't think it requires a new prosecutor. If he's still around, he can do it.
Was she tearful during this entire thing, or was she just giving you her side?
She was tearful in the very beginning. Then she got really upset about it. That's why I said she was waving her hands. She didn't know what he wanted from her because every time was always something. He will come up, and then by the time he gets from work, there were another argument and another argument. And you know, it was a long time ago. I cannot remember everything that she told me. You know,
it will be fixed.
One of the things, that's why she suspect that he has someone, because he will go to O'Hare Airport for a business meeting, and he will stay there overnight for 2 days or 3 days period.
And how long is O'Hara from your residence?
Well, depends how you drive, but I would say 45 minutes to an hour.
Little bit. We did see the marks on BK's face. We'll try to look at that a little closer later.
I'm driving every day to Chicago, and I'm coming back. And he said, well,
let me see if I can pull up a picture here. We'll look at it while we listen to this.
Okay. So after that conversation that you'd had with Julie that morning, that lasted a half hour, 45 minutes, when was the next time that you saw or spoke with Julie Jensen?
I would say probably the same, you know, afternoon, around 3 or 4 o'clock the same day.
You saw her again?
Yes.
And did you have occasion to talk with her at that time?
Yeah, we did. We did. It just, like I said, we had talks on a daily basis. Sometimes we didn't talk, you know, even before the 6 weeks. There was nothing new that we talk in the front of the house or something, or just discuss different things.
It was common for you to talk with Julie Jensen on an almost daily basis?
Yes.
Now, in the weeks before you had this first conversation with her, this one you just described,
Yes.
had you noticed any change in Julie's behavior or any change in the way she appeared?
No. She was, she did her things, which she always used to do. She had her stuff to do every day. I will meet her on the back when she cut the grass, or she worked on by the swimming pool, or her garden. It was, you know, she discussed about this, she discussed about different stuff. But it was, you know, what they're gonna do, or, you know, or on the weekends. Because usually Mark was still sleeping and Julie and the kids were up in the front playing 10, 11 o'clock in the morning.
So when you talked with her that afternoon, you said you'd had another conversation with her that afternoon. Did Julie appear to be in better spirits or about the same when you talked to her?
Oh, she was down. That's why I noticed, I mean, that 6 weeks or 5 weeks, I mean, her behavior, she wasn't herself. I mean, you could feel she was under a lot of pressure.
She seemed to be sad, more sad than you'd
Yes,
seen her in the past?
She was sad. I mean, she will, like I said, she will like look for a chance, opportunity to talk to me, just to get her, you know, just to talk to someone about her problems.
And what would she say to you when she talked to you about those problems? Did she amplify on the problems she described before?
Why don't you put a time frame on the question?
Well, let's talk about the conversation you had with her that afternoon. You said you'd spoken with her in the morning and she was crying. Tell us what you can remember about the conversation that you had with her that afternoon.
Well, I don't remember that much, but mostly she repeated the stuff we were talking about that morning. That she was suspicious that Mark was seeing somebody for sure.
Now, and in the weeks that followed, did Julie continue to confide in you?
Yes.
Was there any change in the things that she was telling you?
Well, the chance what she was telling me, she's started noticing changes in the house. One of the biggest thing was, I mean, there was still, they had their daily argument, but she was start suspecting Mark. One of the things was the computer stuff, what he was doing on the computer, his research.
What did she tell you about what she suspected about Mark and the computer?
Well, I remember that one of the conversation was that I think so Mark went to work in the morning, and then she noticed on his desk by the computer there was little notes, like those little stick down 2x2 notes with the different sides, that's like 3 of them sticking in each other. And there was sides when
we're gonna keep listening to the audio here, but I'm gonna bring in the picture of the cuts on the BK's face that we were talking about.
So these were written on Post-it notes?
Yes.
So it's gonna get a little confusing here, but these are the cuts on BK's face.
As you're sitting here today, do you remember what the poisons were that she mentioned?
No.
Probably razor.
I don't remember.
And can you remember in relation to this conversation when she was describing these poisons, how much time had passed between the point where you'd first seen her crying like that in the front, that conversation that you described, and the point where she had this conversation with you about the poison sites?
Oh, it could be a week, maybe less. I mean, she really got very suspicious. It's like she will do like her daily thing just to confront me, what she find out new, what he was doing on a daily basis. And she will just come out the same afternoon or next morning. I remember sometimes I will go the same time I will leave to Chicago in the morning at 9:15, 9:30, and she will wait for me just to tell me what happened last night, or what she found it. Like she will tell me that the last night she was sitting, she was vacuuming the house, and as she was vacuuming through the hallways and everything, she noticed that Mark was on the computer and doing the research. I mean, he was looking on the screen about the poisoning and everything. And at the point, Mark got really suspicious because she was staring at the screen. He took his foot, and he just slammed the door, closed the door in front of her face. Yeah. And then there was
Now, when she described that conversation, or when she was describing that incident, do you remember when that incident occurred in relation to the other conversations you've described and in relation to her death?
The time, the point, not really, but I would say there was probably in a week or so, in a week after the first conversation, I saw her in the front.
Okay, well, how much, if you remember when she was talking to you about how Mark closed the door with his foot, when she'd seen that on the computer, if you remember, how much time elapsed between that conversation and the point where you discovered that Julie had died?
I would say around 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And there was another occasion that she was very confused and scared because there was some times that Mark left to work and he left his computer on. And on the screen of the computer, there was the website or...
For some reason, I can picture this guy with a mullet.
So then she will come out to me and talk to me about it, and she's like, I don't know what he's trying to do to me. If he's like trying to scare me, he's playing with my mind, or he just forgot to turn it off. He will just leave it on all day long. For her to see it, or she couldn't figure out what was going on.
Well, did she discuss with you what her various suspicions were?
Yes.
What were the various suspicions that she had?
Well, her various suspicions was that he's trying to poison her, or he's trying to drive her nuts to take away the kiss from her, because that's what one of the arguments they had, that he was scaring her that she was an unfit mother. He will take the kids away from her.
And was that, how did Julie feel about the prospect of Mark taking the children away from her?
She was furious. She was really upset about it. And then one of the things was that Mark was pushing her. He said, pushing her to go get a job, go see a doctor, put Douglas in the school. I mean, there was like daily talks between me and her about it. She was telling me those things on a daily basis because that's the things they were arguing.
She said that Mark was pushing her to go see a doctor?
Yes.
How many times did she tell you about that, if you can recall?
I'll say it's got to be at least 5, 10, 15 times, a lot of times.
How would you respond when she would voice these suspicions that either Mark was trying to poison her or Mark was trying to drive her crazy? Did you offer an opinion on what he was trying to do, or did you?
Yeah, we had a discussion. I told her to contact the police, and she actually, I think she did at the time, did contact the police. I think so. It was Mr. Kosman or somebody, and but she wasn't sure what really is going on. She didn't want to come out on the top like she's losing her mind, or she's really gonna get killed. She's gonna get poisoned.
She just didn't know which it was.
She didn't know which one is it. She was thinking that, well, what happened if he's just playing with me, just to take the kids away? And at the same time, she was fear about her life. If this is true, what he's doing.
Jonathan, if you're in chat,
Like,
you were able to track down his wife was still living. Are you able to see if she's still alive?
In the weeks as these discussions continued, in the weeks that got closer and closer to the day of her death, did she have additional things that she offered you or not?
Yeah, this is not quite live.
Well,
it's about 20 years old.
The daily, like I said, daily discussion.
But it's being played live in courtroom.
She came up to me and she was really upset. I think so. Mark was out of town. And she said, you know what happened? We had an argument like 3 or 4 in the morning. He will call me 3 in the morning. And then finally I realized that somebody's calling, so I picked up the phone and he started arguing with me. you know, where you been? What you been doing? Why you didn't answer the phone? You know,
What's happening?
he's
Sorry, my disc player is
Okay, so-
struggling.
Disc player. This is a beta or VHS at best.
I'm
Yes.
just going to pause it for a moment. Hopefully that'll let it catch
If you tried turning it off and on again, that's what we did this morning, and the internet started working. This is the gentleman who's talking is the husband of the lady who we saw yesterday. Yeah, we're going to need a new disc player and maybe a new HDMI cable. Let's see.
Okay, I'm going to try playing it and see what happens.
CG, I just got your text with the image with the bruise.
So that was a time when he was out of town?
It doesn't look like that on my screen. That looks like his shadow because it goes away later in the video.
So, Judge, I'm going to try to take it back and see if it can catch up on the disc player.
Backing up and watching it again, that will not fix it. It won't. Okay. This is being played in court. Ivan, you're correct. This is being played under the unavailable witness rule. For some reason, this witness is not available, whether he's no longer in the land of the living or if he's no longer in the land. It might also be a health issue. We believe one of the witnesses whose video we're going to watch on a pre-recorded testimony from the previous trial has passed away, and it may be this gentleman. But this is the gentleman who we believe received the letter from Julie before she died saying, if anything happens to me, if I die under weird circumstances, it's my husband who did it.
They put Douglas in the school. I mean, there was like daily...
I wonder if the DVD's
Me and
scratched.
her about it. She was telling me those things on a daily basis.
So this is
because
being
that's
played in
the
court.
things they were
It's
arguing.
being considered as
Mark,
testimony.
She
by
said
the
that
jury.
Mark was pushing her to go see a doctor?
Yes.
How many times did she tell you about that, if you can
I'll
recall?
say it's got to be at least 5, 10, 15 times, a lot of times.
This is a little strange.
How would you
but it is
respond
allowed.
when she would voice these suspicions that either Mark was trying to poison her or Mark was trying to drive her crazy? Did you offer an opinion on what he was trying to do, or did you?
Yeah, we had a discussion. I told her to contact the police, and she actually, I think she did at the time, did contact the police. I think so. It was Mr. Kosman or somebody, and but she wasn't sure what really is going on. She didn't want to come out on the top like she's losing her mind, or she's really gonna get killed. She's gonna get poisoned.
We are back on.
She just didn't know which it was.
She didn't know which one is. She was
I never stopped the
thinking
stream.
about,
I just
what happened
was
if
able
he
to
just
fix it and
playing with me?
start up again.
Just
So that's why you
to
didn't get
keep it
notification. My apologies for
At
that.
the same time, she was fear about her life. If this is true, what he's doing, because of like he will leave that screen on or some other things. Yeah.
In the weeks as these discussions continued, in the weeks that got closer and closer to the day of her death, did she have additional things that she offered you or not?
Well, what the daily, like I said, daily discussion. There was, I remember one morning, she came up to me and she was really upset. I think so. Mark was out of town, and she said, "You know what happened? We had an argument like 3 or 4 in the morning. He will call me 3 in the morning, and then finally, I realized that somebody's calling, so I picked up the phone, and he started arguing with me. Where you been? What you been doing? Why you didn't answer the phone?"
Same spot. I think the DVD's scratched.
So, Judge, there appears to be something that starts skipping at 23 minutes and 37 seconds, so I think I'm going to have to try another copy of this. Can we take a short break?
All right, let's take a short break, see what happens.
All right. Good question. Nancy says, "Who is this guy? The guy who's appearing in video in this courtroom?" Because that's what it is. You see him on the background in the wall there. That's where they're playing it. That video is from the previous court, where Mr. Jensen was found guilty the first time around. Unfortunately, when he appealed, well, unfortunately for everybody else, fortunately for him, when he appealed and said, I should not have been found guilty because they allowed evidence in that should not have been allowed, the appeals court heard that and said, yes, we agree, you get a new trial. So the state's been directed, look, either you have to let him out of jail or you have to retry him. And so they said, we're going to retry him. So he's still being held in jail on the original conviction because it was life without parole. So they can do this. So they're holding him in jail on that conviction, until the outcome of this case. The outcome of this case will determine where he ends up. Apparently a little earwax issue. It looks like he can solve that with the finger. So, oh my goodness, what's going on? Young Thug's got some action where the judge yells, not funny, toward the area where the defendants are seated with attorneys. Whoever's laughing over there, you better tighten it up. And that was during a potential juror crying about the hardship of missing students, so she's a school teacher. I'll miss my students so badly. She's crying, and somebody was laughing in the court. Judge did not like it very much over there in Young Thug, because they're doing trying to find a jury that can handle that one. Okay, so High Speed Drifter. I don't know what woman's voice you're hearing. I'm not hearing it on my end. Let me know if it's still going on. Let's see. They bought a shoulder-held RCA videotape recorder in 1991. It was the bling. Oh, man, you had the whole VHS tape that fit in there. I mean, nowadays, a video camera is smaller than the tape you were using before. This guy's never been in a swivel chair. He's using it a lot like my kids would. I will say that. Young Thug has his hair down today. Day 7 of jury selection. They're trying desperately to get a jury seated. His wife yesterday looked about his age as he is in the video, so he'd be 20 years older today. Either his wife is 20 years younger or she ages well. Yeah, the videos, both videos are from 20 years ago. Okay. Let's see. She was on Ativan, but what else? As far as the wife's medications, she says she took some Zantac, sort of OTC Zantac, Imodium, Tylenol. She had some painkillers that for migraines that apparently Mark used more than her. That's what we know. Color Me Abstract is talking about pickles and green. Good morning, Color Me Abstract. Good to have you here. Let's see. Ginger objects. Noted for the record. Why does it say 48 hours? Nancy, that's a great question. Apparently the best copy of this evidence from 20 years ago was the copy that 48 Hours kept. And so they're using that. And the judge has instructed the jury, just disregard that logo, pretend you're not watching 48 Hours. They had these, I don't know why, first of all, I don't know why 48 Hours would have stamped these. Because you put a timestamp over these saying 48 hours, and it's useless video now. Other than the audio, it's useless to them. Is he watching her leave? Christy, I think you've noticed that. And now that you've seen it, you can never unsee this. But Mark Jensen appears to be eyeing up and down his attorney every time she stands up and walks around. Creepy factor turned all the way up to 11 on this one. But he does appear to be checking out his lawyer, which, there you go. Rachel says, I would laugh too. Sounds like an excuse to not be on the jury. I miss my students so bad. Some teachers are really good, and they would miss their students. But I don't think that's a reason to not serve, to not do your civic duty and serve on a jury. He has wandering eyes, definitely. I wonder if the jury is going to pick up on that, because he's doing it right in front of them. If someone gets a 1,000-year sentence, does their corpse have to serve time in jail? Imagine the smell. No. Generally, they will bury you when you die. That's just it's the human thing to do. It would be cruel and unusual to your cellmate to make him just stay there with you rotting. Let's see. Why was he allowed? Okay, why was he allowed, but the letter not? Color Me Abstract. Great question. I also had the same concerns when we first talked about this, and Matthew set me straight. Matthew Harris, our legal attorney from Texas, who pops in on the channel periodically when he's not in court himself. And he said this is under the rule of unavailable witness, and it's treated the same way as if you had a deposition where both sides interviewed one of the possible witnesses to find out what they're going to testify to, and then before trial happens, major accident, they died. Okay, it's tragic. We're all sad. Trial's still moving forward. Now their testimony, they can't elicit that testimony because they're not available, and the court would say because of that, we will allow you to use the pre-recorded videos where they were questioned. Both sides got the questions in. They got, the cross-exam happened, and we will allow that. The cross-exam is the key here, because the letter from Mark's wife, from Julie, is evidence against Mark. She is testifying against Mark, and Mark has the right to cross-examine his accusers, and that was the argument he made to the appeals court, saying that letter should not be allowed in court. That letter should have, and I can bring it up and show you the letter if you're curious, if you haven't seen it here. It's right here. This letter should not be allowed in court because I don't have the ability to cross-examine her as she's accusing me of these things. We can look at this letter if you want. The pertinent part is now right down by the end, saying, she says, I don't smoke or drink. My mother, this is in the middle, my mother was an alcoholic, so I limit my drinking to 1 or 2 a week. Mark wants me to drink more with him in the evenings. I don't. I would never take my life because of my kids. They are everything to me. I regularly take Tylenol and multivitamins, occasionally and over-the-counter stuff for colds, Zantac, Imodium. I have a prescription for migraine tablets, which Mark uses more than I. I pray I'm wrong and nothing happens, but I am suspicious of Mark's suspicious behaviors, and I fear for my early demise. However, I will not leave my kids, my life's greatest love, accomplishment, and wish, my 3 Ds, Daddy, Mark, and 2 kids, signed Julie. So she's saying that on the right at the top, she says, if anything happens to me, he would be my first suspect. Well, that was shown to the jury. They got that, and they got to see that and consider that as evidence. And Mark says that was wrong to do that. You should not have allowed that in. Why is it going full screen there? I don't want that full screen. There we go. So now we get a new trial, and that letter cannot be brought in. We won't hear that testimony from the grave, so to speak. But we are allowed to hear these other witnesses. So color me, that's the reason why. Hopefully that answers the question a little bit. Yes, spinning in the chair. I hope to see a witness do a full spin as they're contemplating answering a question. I think that would be great. I would do one now, but I have a wired headset, and I'd strangle myself. Check the burner. Sent you close-up pic of the bruise on BK's neck. CG, I saw that picture. I'm on the phone with my attorney right now. I saw that picture. Your picture, it does look like a bruise, but I think this is like an Amber Heard type bruise. In the right lighting, on the right computer, it might show up. On mine, in high definition, on a couple different feeds. I've looked at a couple different sources online as well. I'm not seeing the bruise. It looks more like a shadow. We'll probably get into that a little bit more as people are sort of dissecting that throughout the day, that brief appearance and everything that happened. Kay Hogston says, I'm knitting while listening to your smooth voice. Well, Kay, do send a picture of whatever you're knitting to the burner phone so we can share it with everybody. That would be awesome. I'm glad to have you here. Let's see. Charlie says, if you were locked away from women for 22 years, you'd probably eye up your lawyer too. Come on now. You can't have wandering eyes if your spouse... You can't have wandering eyes if your spouse doesn't exist. Well, he's the reason the spouse doesn't exist, allegedly. So, we can still look at him and say, a little bit of a creep. Mark reminds me of the Muppet Beaker. You can never look at him again without thinking that. Well, thanks, High Speed Drifter. We'll have to do a side-by-side of Mark and Beaker. If only his voice, if only we could get Mark to read the same things that Beaker does, say the same line. Rules of evidence are like a jar of worms to try to sort out and are often the most important aspects of the trial. They are. And the judge, that's why it's so important for the judge to get it right. If the judge gets it wrong, it's appeal. And basically, it's a huge expense to go through this again. This is a huge expense for the state to retry him on this once they've already had a conviction. A little bit. Great question. I saw this earlier, and I was going to pull this up. I'm going to check the court records as we speak. Talking about, that's going to be Orange County, Florida. Doing a quick search here. Why did that not work? That was not what I meant to say. There's my clerk. We're looking for everything related to, it's going slowly today. Slowly. Everything related to Sarah Boone. Court's still in recess here. We're not missing anything. We'll jump back over there as soon as we get some audio. Their audio is live, so you'll hear it as soon as it happens. I'm not getting a response from Orange County server. Let's see here. Time for a drink. If it is moved out to April, I'd be curious to see why. Man, I'm having all sorts of issues. Refresh that. You guys still able to see me? Let me scroll down. Are we getting slow for you too? Maybe the internet's broken today. Is that a possibility? I've been geared up as well. I wonder if that would change anything about the okay, got South Park on the screen for some reason. Not sure how that got there. Orange County court records. There we go. So Google's fast, but Orange County is super slow. Like their website's down. Why? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close all that. Try it again. Launch a GUI. Could be the storms with the internet. Yes. Let's see. There's only more time to receive my FOIA request. Well, we're waiting for Florida to respond. Let's see. Let me try a different browser here because that one is not liking me. Okay, now it's up. It's responding. So it was just that browser. For some reason, Firefox was not playing nicely. But okay, we need Sarah Boone. Last name Boone. I am not a robot. And search. Okay, there we go. Criminal felony. There's the open court case. I'm not seeing anything changed on this. I'm still showing the latest on this on Sarah Boone is that we've got a pretrial hearing that's scheduled for the 17th. That's in 5 days. And squirrel. It was in 5 days, and we still have we still have trial starting on the 30th. So I'm not seeing any change. So whatever information you're seeing, let's see. There's nothing new in the court records. So I don't think it's changed at all for Sarah Boone. And that's good news. It could change in 5 days at that hearing. That pretrial hearing, something might happen, but I think they should look into the person who had the letter from Julie. Jenny, that's the person who's on the stand right now. That's as far as the video. That's what we're waiting for. Camera 3 just dropped completely. That was the one we were watching. Give me a second here. Problem loading page. Nice. Okay, we're still on air. Our cameras are working. We've still got some other feeds available to us. I'm just going to re-poll what we've got. Who was on 2? Let me see if I can jump ahead just a tiny bit. It's TMJ4. That's a live stream. Okay. We're good there. Let me pull in WISN. I'm going to check the email here in just a minute because we are waiting for something out of California that's due today. I really think it's today that we should have something for them. We might get some sound here in just a second, but hold tight. I'll have to resync the audio here as well. Small price to pay. Okay, so we have TMJ4, we have Law and Crime, and we have WISN. All of them are showing the courts in recess right now. Keep an eye on that. Let's see, what happened with Boone today, please? I'm having internet issues. Little Miss, I'm not seeing anything. I just pulled the documents right now, and if there is a change, it has not been recorded in the court documents out of Orange County. There's nothing there that's different from what we had before. We still have the 17th for the hearing and the 30th for the trial to begin. Jenny says, lots of green names. You guys are like a little club. Yeah, we've got a lot of members on the channel, and I'm very grateful for that. You guys are amazing. We have a couple very generous people that have gifted a lot of memberships, which causes that. So thank you. Case can't find the burner phone number. All you have to do, Kay, is type !burner like Courtney did here in chat at any time, as long as we're live streaming and everything's working. Looks like we might be coming back here. Let's take camera 2. As long as everything's working, the burner number should appear, and that currently is our burner phone number. It may change, as it is a burner phone, and the burner phones get destroyed and thrown away and smashed and dumped down the sewer drain and everything else that you do with burner phones, as you do. But right now, that's what we have. Camera 2. Do we have audio from camera 3? Court's in recess. I would take the audio from camera 2. Just 1 second. It's going to be a little confusing. Audio from 2 is on. Might have a little bit of a hot mic here. Just 1 second. So I want to listen carefully. Okay. We're going to continue episode 2 of 48 Hours. Let's see, what did I miss? Linda, we had all sorts of internet problems this morning. BK was up in Idaho and had a brief hearing. They pushed.
All right, we're back on the record on the Jensen matter. The appearances are the same. The jury is back in the courtroom. We had some technical difficulties
Yes,
with
we did.
exhibit number 9. With that, Ms. McNeil, are we ready to proceed again?
Yes, we are, Your Honor. I apologize for the delay, and we are restarting at 23 minutes and 31 seconds.
All right, go ahead.
Start arguing with me, you know, where you been? What have you been doing? Why you didn't answer the phone? You know, and he's like, he's suspecting me of something, or, you know, then he will check on her this way.
So that was a time when he was out of town?
Out of town. This was about, I would say, 2.5, 3 weeks before her death. That's when the pressure, you can start seeing the pressure and the water on her face.
Did she ever describe to you any circumstances under which Mark would try to get her to eat or drink anything?
Yes, I think so. There was it's about 2 weeks before her death.
Now this chair is getting a workout.
She was really, really worried to eat anything in the house or drink in the house. One of the things was that Mark came home from work and he was offering her drink. I don't know what was it, but he was after her with the drink and she wouldn't take it. And it was very suspicious to her. That's what she told me, that I never got anything from Mark. Every time Mark walks into the door, I have to serve him. I gotta give him, it was a daily basis routine. Mark walks in, I handle him his drink, but it never was opposite. So that's why she, with this other stuff, that she was finding out with the poison size, and him offering her that drink was very, very.
We're gonna have to grease the bearings after this witness. He's or replace the chair.
That she has some problems because she was telling me.
Well, miss, we're pushing a little lower quality stream today, just because of the internet issues, but it shows up on my side. I think we're good.
So she told you at some point before she died.
I'm going to change the audio here.
Ill, that she'd been vomiting.
Yes, yes.
And how you have an estimate as to how much time that was before she died?
2 weeks, because I remember
before she died, that she had been ill, that she'd been vomiting.
Yes.
And you have an estimate as to how much time that was before she died?
2 weeks, because I remember.
Why are we hearing too many
Do you know whether she took you up on that advice?
I already know. I think so. One of the times she sandwiches, one of the times she said she just went and got a.
You suggested that she go somewhere else to get something to eat.
Yes.
How many times, if you can recall, did Julie tell you that Mark was trying to pressure her to go to see a doctor? That means you can answer the question, sir. Do you remember how many times? Was that more than once, or how many times?
Yes, there was more than once. There's more than once. That's one of the discussion, the arguments they had on a daily basis. They will argue. That's what she will tell me. There was a lot of pressure from Mark to go see a doctor, put the Douglas in the daycare, and go get a job. And I think so. She was talking about even looking in a school or some other place, putting application, and she really didn't want to do it. She wanted to stay with the kids. That's what she wanted to do.
Okay, fix the audio issue.
Did she ever indicate to you what Mark was telling her as to why he wanted her to go see a doctor?
No. She never. He was just pressing her to go to the doctor.
Did she ever indicate to you why she was reluctant to go see a doctor?
No.
Well, can you tell us if there were any additional conversations you had with Julie Jensen in the weeks or two before she died?
Well, I said there was a lot of conversation, but I think there was like one about a week.
Mac, this is great. I think the guy coughing then is probably dead by now.
It's got to be 2 weeks. It was like that 2 weeks before she died. And I mean, she was really scared. She
Hey, Charlie, you're in the minority here. I'm not saying you're wrong. As far as it's wrong to have your opinion. It's just most people feel that what you think is okay is not socially acceptable.
What did she tell you?
Just, I love having you here. Just might dial it back just a little bit. A lot of people don't appreciate it, but I want you to stay here.
With a glass of wine. He brought her a glass of wine and asked her to drink it. And at the same time that night, in her bedroom, one of the drawers, a nightstand, one on the side of the bed, I don't remember which side, she said it was like cracked open, like 3 inches or 4 inches open, so she could see what was inside. There was a couple of syringes laying there in the nightstand, and she was really, really upset about it.
Syringes in the nightstand, huh?
And then Mark was following her with this wine. Whatever she made a move, she didn't want it, then he will like come to the bedroom, put it next to her, or drink it, have it this.
Hey, Charlie, you're good. There was not a single thing on there that was like inappropriate.
I think so. This was like
I think it had to do with the creepiness of the defendant. Most people don't think it's okay for him to be eyeing up and down. Basically, it's visually treating a woman like an object. So most people aren't okay with that. I realize that he's been in
Was there ever a time
for 22 years
before Julie died where she gave you something?
And now this is the first time he's sat next to a woman in 22 years. I realize that side of your argument. I just think that it's most people would say that's not appropriate to respond that way to a woman for any reason. That being said, Charlie, I appreciate your differing opinions. Thanks for sharing it. Let's move on from that topic. What did she say to you? And just let's keep having fun. That's Weather Watch did. He hugged. We're still friends.
Somehow something happened.
Thank you.
She's not going to make it to Monday.
And what did she say? What did she do then?
Well, I think so. It was like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I don't remember. It was afternoon. We had one of those talks in the front of the house, kind of the side of the house with their bedroom. They got little bushes there, and we were talking. There was a little fence, and I had a coat, and she was just standing crying. I didn't believe that something was going to happen. I knew there was something going on, but you cannot imagine somebody's going to die.
Did you ever offer Julie any type of assistance?
Yes, I did offer her assistance. I think so. One of her first of assistance, I think so, was that I was talking to her on a daily basis, and she could, she could spill her gas. She could relax a little bit. She had someone to talk. The stuff that were bothering her, eating inside, all night or all day.
Jenna,
tell them someone.
If you're on an iOS device, it's a little harder to become a member. You might have to go through a computer or through Safari, and then access YouTube in Safari. Because the join button doesn't show up on the iOS devices.
In the back of my house, and she will wait there.
You don't have to join though. You could just be here. We appreciate you just being here. That's enough.
Just talk to someone. What's going on?
Did you ever offer to allow her to use any of your other properties to stay at?
Yes, I did. I think there was like a week before her death. Stuff really got intense. I mean,
sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said, sir.
This stuff that's very intense, very heavy.
Yeah. Christy, you're exactly right. This is the only neighbor who sort of like minded his own business and told his wife, hey, don't get involved. Whether or not that was right or not, hindsight, would tell maybe he should have done something. But at the same time, the other neighbors appeared to be very nosy. They knew everything that was happening with everybody else, whether they were close or not. And this gentleman was like, hey, let them live, don't get involved. And I think because of that, Julie trusted him with the letter. That's why she gave him the letter.
To allow Julie to stay at one of your property. Which property was it?
It was property in Lily Lake. I had we just purchased property. It was a summer house cottage. I offered Julie, I think so, $2,000.
Katrina, that also works for becoming a member.
If you feel so bad, because she was really scared. She was scared. She saw expression on her face. She didn't know where to go, where to turn.
It's a chance.
Now, Mr. Boyd, when you offered her, so you offered her a couple $1,000s, and you said she could stay at your lake home. And when did this conversation occur in relation to her death?
I think so. It's got to be a week before her death.
And when you made that offer to Julie, how did she reply to that?
Well, how she replied? She still wasn't sure all the way if whatever is happening is really the truth, or Mark is just playing with her mentally, just to trying to take away the kids. I mean, she wasn't sure all the way. She was still hoping that it's just the mind playing. Because he's just, she had it, but she was afraid about her life. There's no question.
What was the last conversation that you can recall ever having with Julie Jensen?
I think so it was Sunday. I think so it was Sunday before Julie died. It was in the morning. Me and my wife, we were in the front. We spent a lot of time in the front of the house with the kids playing. And we noticed Julie and Mark was with their kids. And we looked at them. They were getting ready to go for a walk. I can picture the whole event, how they were standing. Mark, they were very close to each other, like nothing happened. Everything was fine. Mark had his hand around her, and they went for a walk. I think so Douglas was with them. They went for a walk.
I may be wrong. I thought I heard it was the other way around. I might have just
well, you see, everything is fine. Everything
heard it differently.
Okay.
That he said not to get involved, but it sounds like he was willing to.
You and your wife had talked about what was going on in the Jensen household?
Maybe he'll answer the question now.
I think so. The first time when it happened, that the first thing in the 6 weeks or 5 weeks when I talked to Julie, and at the same time I went to tell my wife what's going on. My wife advised me, and she was kind of upset.
There's no factual assertion so far, Your Honor.
Well, as of this point, why don't you ask another question?
Well, because I wanted to hear what Margaret, I happen to know what she said, and it's not a factual assertion, and it's not being offered for the truth of the matter.
Ask another question to get him talking again.
Okay. So tell us,
what did your wife
let's
say?
get back to the Sunday morning, the last time you saw Julie, spoke to Julie alive. The last time you saw her alive, the last time you spoke to her.
That was actually not the last time. I still talked to her on Monday very briefly, but that Sunday we had I would say 45
Carol,
minutes to
it's only like
an hour conversation.
10 years or so.
You and your wife had seen Julie and
trial, right?
Mark and the children together.
Yes.
And
let me
what was
look
your
up the
impression
details.
when you saw them together?
It was like you wipe out this 6 weeks part of their life, like everything was normal, like it was before we know them. They were just going for daily walk as a whole family. Mark was just, normal.
So what were your hopes at that point when you saw the family?
Everything's fine. Everything got kind of worked out between them. Maybe this was really, the whole thing was her just worried what's going on.
Well, what happened then later after you'd seen them go off on this walk?
Well, they went for their walk, and I don't know, maybe half hour later or something, they came back. And Mark was playing with the kids in the driveway. They were shooting hoops, and they went. Their dog was with them too. They had a yellow dog, and Julie turned kind of around. I would say she was 50 feet from Mark, at least 50 feet. And I asked her a question, so everything is fine, everything is okay. She just started crying. She was just start crying and shaking and everything. And at the same time, she will play a game. Did nothing happen. She will throw a fake toy, a bone, I remember, to the dog, so he will fetch and bring it back and forth. And so Mark wouldn't notice what was really going on. And I remember I used to just say, Julie, stop, he's going to notice. Don't do this. He's looking this way. And, and she was just on, and she says, nothing. No, I asked her, so everything's fine? She said, no, it's opposite. We're still having, the same problems, even more. Not the same stuff, nothing changed.
Did you make any offers of assistance at that time?
Oh, I told her, get the hell out of the house. Leave.
And what did she say?
No, she wouldn't leave because of the kids. She wouldn't leave the kids. There's no way.
Appeals take a long time. I don't know why. He might have not.
You said you spoke to Julie on Monday?
Yes, I think so. I did.
I can look
talk
at the
to her
dates,
on
though.
Monday. I'm sure I did. Talk.
Do you remember anything about that conversation? Or
No,
not?
it was just brief, very short conversation. I know she was telling me that that day or next day, I think so, she was going to the doctor. She that she agreed to go to the doctor.
You don't remember anything beyond that, though?
Oh no, there was things that one of the things was that Douglas was going to daycare or babysitter. I think so, daycare. She still didn't like it, but she did it anyway. And then she was looking for a job.
Can you tell me what you remember about December 3rd?
December 3rd. I know on December 2nd, Julie talked to my wife.
Yes, I believe it's Voigt is the last name. He's
On
the
December 3rd.
husband of the lady who was wearing the turtleneck in yesterday's
I remember
video.
in the morning.
Also appeared on video.
I think so, met Mark in the front.
Yeah, Charlie, don't leave.
Was going on the side door to the front.
We
main door
do
to
we
the
love
house.
Charlie here.
He didn't even look at
I
me.
personally
He
love
was
the
from,
conversation,
say,
the
40
perspective
feet.
he brings.
He didn't-
We're just going to move on from that one little
It was
topic.
very cold, very just that's it. I don't know you. I don't want anything to do with you. You don't even exist. You're not there. That's the way I felt it. And then I went to Chicago. I think so. We talked to my wife on the phone a couple of times a day.
That was right
And I
into the
think
microphone.
so,
That
on
was
the
like
way
a
back
full
home,
wind up and just
it's gotta be
boom.
1:30 or 2 o'clock. I seen Mark driving our neighborhood by the stop sign. He was sitting in his SUV. I think so at the time he had a black SUV, Yukon or something. He had a white shirt on it. He was very spread inside the car. He was very relaxed. He was spread in the car. He was very relaxed, sitting, like laying in the back. His hand was like this on the other seat. He had his white shirt. He didn't even see me. He didn't wave. No, we just passed each other. He just turned left, and he just went someplace else. And then I think so. And I came home. I talked to my wife, and we really had a discussion because one of the things was that it was suspicious to me that Mark stayed home because as long as I know Mark and Julie, that's one of the things that Julie would say. Mark was very cold about stuff. He will never miss a day of work. Even if she was sick or she had some problems or her dad died or something, he wouldn't take a day off to go to the funeral or wake or something with her. It just, you deal with it. And one of the things I really remember to today that it was the middle of the day and there are lights, outdoor lights on the side of the house, in the front of the house. They had a little. They were on.
The crime in
And
this
I was
trial
really
is
telling my
murder
wife,
by me.
There's something wrong. It's like a signal or something. Why don't you call her, find out what's going on? She just said no. We just had a discussion, and then I said again.
I could tell that one's coming, so I muted
It's
it.
got to be after 2 or 3 o'clock, pulling out of his driveway again and turning south on the Lakeshore Drive, going with his SUV.
What's the next thing you remember seeing or hearing on December 3rd?
On September 3rd, okay, I went to pick up my daughter from school, and when we pull in our neighborhood, the stop sign, we just noticed from far away, there's the flashes of lights, emergency vehicle, police, people standing across the street, people standing in the front of the street. There was quite a bit. It was, kind of darkish. Quite a bit of people out there. And I went home, and then I went outside. And I kind of know what happened. And I was standing with Jim Ashley, my neighbor across the street, and one of the officer at that time came out and he started asking a question, are we the neighbors this or that? And I asked him, is she dead? he didn't want to answer to me, and then Jim looked at me and finally said, "Is she dead? She's dead." And finally he admitted, "Yes, she's dead." And he started asking me my name. I just walked away. I couldn't take it anymore. Just went home.
Do you remember making any observations concerning any activities in that house the next day, around that house the next day?
Yep. This wife was in the turtleneck
One of
yesterday.
the things really struck me that I think so was the next day. I don't remember what time it was. It was afternoon or evening. I just don't remember. You know, we was very suspicious what was going on because I think so we did, me and my wife, because Julie asked us even not to tell like neighbors across the street what was going on in their personal life, that they had a problem, just to, so actually me and my wife was mostly involved with her problems, my problems. We knew about it. And we were just watching the house from, there was a police there, and Mark's father, and Mark came out of the house. I think so the police was leaving the house, giving him free and clear house so he could move back to the house. And Mark was walking down the driveway and his father was approaching him and they give each other high five. It was, to us, was like, it's like, you happy? What are you celebrating?
Wow.
Did you notice any different vehicles coming and going from the Jensen house in the weeks following Julie's death?
There was a lot of cars. I would say I seen different cars. One of the cars, I think there was a babysitter. She was about 17, 18 years old, young. She had a red hairdo, and she was driving a light blue car. I saw her in the beginning. I don't know how soon was that, but I seen her a lot there. Then another car
You said she was the babysitter?
was actually pulling into the garage. That's when we noticed Julie cars were sitting like on the outside. They had a little side driveway on the side of the garage. The little Toyota was sitting there. And there was a, I think so, midnight blue Honda Accord or something.
It was being put in the garage?
Yeah, it was just like somebody had the garage opener because the door went up, the car went inside, and I didn't know who was in, who was...
Those sounds you're hearing.
And this was a car that was being parked in the
are
space
from
where
someone
Julie's car
receiving a
was
cell
parked.
phone
Yes,
call
I think so.
And
in the courtroom
how much time
20 years
elapsed
ago.
between the point where Julie died and the point where you saw this car being parked in the space where Julie's car was usually parked?
It's got to be in a week to 2 weeks. It's got to be in a... I mean, it was too long, too far. I cannot remember. But that's what I noticed. And the one of the point even...
Yep, it's ringing again.
kind of-
Their phone's too
we
close
know
to
he
the
had
electric
someone,
hardware.
we talked
It's not
about
shielded
it,
or something.
and he
It's
came
interfering.
up to me, he said, that was the babysitter. We kind of laughed about it because I didn't see any babysitter. We discussed the stay
Or somebody's pager. Yeah.
and leave in the morning.
This person who you described or referred to as Mark Jensen, do you see him anywhere in this courtroom today?
Mark Jensen?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you point to him, describe what he's wearing? Thank you. Did Julie ever tell you where she found these notes that you'd made reference to?
Yeah, she found on his desk.
And did you ever give any advice as to what she should do about those notes?
One of the things was that she should take the pictures of those things, the screen, the notes, and give it to the police.
And to your knowledge, did she do that?
Yes, she did.
Well, how do you know that she took those photographs?
Because she told me.
What did she tell you?
I took the pictures of the photographs, and I tried to contact the police to give it to them.
And what did she tell you what happened when she tried to call the police?
She said that she called the police. I remember very clearly. She said, I called the police, and they wouldn't want to talk to me because I did have assigned policeman, Officer Cosman, to me. And at the time, he wasn't present. He went for a, that's what she said. He went for a, they told her that he went for a fishing trip. He's going to be back on Monday. And to them, did they want to talk to her or did he come back?
Did she tell you what, or did you suggest her what she should do with the photographs then?
I really didn't.
Do you know what she ever did with the film that she had?
She gave it to my wife.
Did you ever see or know of Julie discussing these photographs with the officer?
Yes, I did.
Tell us what you know about that, what you know personally, what you saw.
Well, I was from the back of my little art studio going to the front of the house. We had a little side driveway between, it's a walkway between our house and their house. When I noticed that there was a police car parked in the front of their house, and she was talking to the policeman.
Did you know who the policeman was? Had you ever seen him before?
Yes.
Who was it?
Mr. Cosman.
It was Officer Cosman. Okay.
Yes.
What did you see then?
She talked to him, and he was kind of upset. You can see because they had a kind of loud talk or aggravation or something. It wasn't one. And at the same time, they were finishing their talk, and she was leaving the car and walking towards me, and she was really upset, and she makes a mark like this. He thinks I'm crazy because he what do you want me to see on this picture? What do you want me to do this? Because I think there was a reflection of the flash. He couldn't see, he couldn't tell anything was on those pictures. So she was really upset about it.
And Your Honor, just to complete the record, request a record show that when the witness was saying she was doing like this, he was taking his right hand and moving his index finger in a circular fashion around his ear, as though the common usage is that he thinks that she's crazy.
Any dispute to that characterization?
No.
All right.
Did Julie, in the years preceding her death, ever talk to you about any harassing activity that she was experiencing at her house?
Well, she wouldn't talk to directly about it, but there was I would say a couple accidents that happened at the house. That's what we noticed. And after we talked to Julie, and I think so on one occasion I did talk to Mark, and one occasion I talked to one of the officers that was present on my yard in the middle of the night that it happened.
It's not being offered so much for the... Okay. What did Julie tell you about this activity?
Is that
actually,
Hitchcock?
I did approach to her and said, well, what happened when the police was in your house?
And what did she say?
And she said, well, we went shopping. By the time we came back, it was middle of the day. I think it was weekend. And that when they come back,
I think that's
there
the
was
same
a
guy.
bunch of furniture knocked all over the house, broken things. Like somebody entered the house, and that was it.
And did she ask you if you'd seen anybody around the house?
He's the coffer, so he's still alive.
No.
Barely.
Okay. Had you seen anybody around the house?
Yes, I did.
Who?
I think so.
I'm going to object to the relevance of the testimony.
Overruled. Well, who did you see?
I saw Mark Jensen father cars in the front of the house after they went shopping.
This is old footage, but it's being shown live in court today.
The engine was running. He went to the house, 2 minutes. Then he will leave the house, and you can hear this one of, because they had like a kind of gravel, I remember, on the half of the driveway. The wheel was spinning, and he was really like taking off out of the house.
And then how much time elapsed between the point where you'd seen him leave the house in that fashion and the point where the Jensens came home?
And the Jensen came maybe an hour or so later, and then the police showed up. And one of the nights,
check out the sweater
me and
vest in
my
the
wife was
background.
sitting home, watching a movie. We had a kind of nice room on the back of the house, sunroom. We were watching the movie, and then it was 11 o'clock or so.
I haven't seen Mark yet on this video, but I wasn't paying really close attention.
We had a fence going between two properties, but I think so one section we didn't do it in the back because of the kids still passing, seeing each other. And I came out, I said, what's going on? And there was it was a policeman.
There he is.
And that's what he told me, that there was, reported that somebody was in the backyard throwing things into the swimming pool.
And you hadn't observed anything?
No, it was quiet. We were sitting, we didn't hear, we didn't notice nothing. There was some noises or something. And then I talked to Mark next day. And Mark told me that somebody took one of the kids' bicycle, and threw it into a swimming pool. And that was it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Voigt. I don't have any further questions.
You want to stop now?
Mr. Voigt?
The little overlay was actually interesting to me. I wish we could go back and see
Stopped
it.
it at 55:46.
We're going to start to cross. This will be a good time to take our lunch break.
Okay.
1:15, folks. Have
Lunch
a good
break.
lunch.
Yay. Here's what I'm going to do. The feed, my internet feed, I've been testing here. It's showing it's not as good as it should be, but it is better than it was this morning, which means I should be able to, without stopping the live stream, I should be able to bump up the quality of the feed just a little bit, just so it's not so grainy on your screen. Yes, we are live. For those of you that have stumbled back in saying, how is this still going? I thought you quit. What happened was I hit the stop on my broadcast side, but I did not stop the stream on the YouTube end. I did some testing, made a couple changes.
Holding a jury, so let's take the defendant back. So take care of that issue. Again, 1:15. Have him brought back. We'll give you a call when the jury's back.
Okay. So defendant gets to go back into custody a little bit, and they'll bring him back when the jury's ready. Anyway, so I did some testing on my end and found a way that this would work with a lower stream rate, and I just started restreaming again. The YouTube was still held the live stream open for me, so that's why we're here. That's why you didn't get a notification, unfortunately. So we can stop for lunch, which I think we probably should do. I'm going to make a couple very minor changes on my side that should not change anything other than make it a little bit better for you. And at that point, when we start again for part 2 of this, we'll get everyone gets notifications, and we'll come back. So I think we've got about an hour and 15 minutes. It's 1 o'clock now, so I'll probably come back in about an hour. If it starts sooner than
Justice,
that.
the court gave each.
And Judge Doro, by default, Judge Doro just pops up after this video's done. Anyway, so we're going to take a little bit of lunch, sandwich time for sure. Wombat says, I just got here. Yes, thank you so much for being here. I realize we had a little bit of an exchange back and forth in chat. I think you guys handled it well. Just, if we find a topic that we just can't agree on and see people get a little hot under the collar on one side or the other, let's just move on and focus on the stuff we enjoy together, and that'd be better. Chains hanging in this courtroom are very distracting. They're holding up the plexiglass walls that keep the witness from escaping or something. See you after pickle time. This time I am actually going to end it. We're going to stop it. We'll do a reset. We'll start with a new warning. I'll get it set up here in just a moment. So actually, chat will be open probably in about 5 minutes after I stop. But we'll see who we give the internet to, and hopefully it's a little smoother afternoon than it was morning, because it was a little rough. It was a little rough for me. So that's good. Let's see. Nice to see you back live. Enjoy lunch, you too. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me. It was a rough morning. I've had my blood pressure drop a little bit since then, so we're good. Came in and now out. Yeah, but we'll see you after lunch. Thank you, everybody. We'll catch up on the rest of this case. Then please give a hug to everybody you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, especially if you fought with them before. You know, let's bury the hatchet a little bit. Thank you all. Please stay safe till we come live again in about an hour. See you then.